Showers today, 15 degrees with the 6 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Graham Goodings.
Hands you can trust and state-of-the-art facilities. Physio Extra, tailoring care for you. PhysioExtra.com.
The state government has launched a campaign aimed at taking pressure off our overstressed hospitals and emergency departments. The Emergency campaign on social media and billboards, television, radio and YouTube starts on Sunday. The ads encourage us to call Health Direct for care options if they're unsure whether it's actually an emergency. Aldi is the cheapest supermarket for Australian shoppers. Monitoring from Consumers Group Choice shows the average basket at Aldi costs $52. Coles and Woolworths are $17 more expensive, with just a 1% difference between the two. Green Senator Nick McKim says it's concerning prices are so similar at the two major supermarkets.
I have no doubt the reason that Coles and Woolworths prices are effectively the same is because they cross-check prices with the other supermarket giant. What that shows is that Coles and Woolworths might have separate brands, but they're effectively one great big supermarket corporation.
The Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister have arrived in Papua New Guinea for high-level talks with senior ministers. Richard Marles says there's no greater time to strengthen the bonds between our nations than now.
There has never been, in the 49-year history of our bilateral relationship, a greater ambition than there is now to transform our relationship to being one which is much, much closer.
Security will be stepped up at the entertainment centre tonight. Mel Usher says Jerry Seinfeld's national tour is attracting protesters.
A comedy legend will take to the stage at the Entertainment Centre tonight. Jerry Seinfeld is back in Adelaide for the first time since 2017. The 70-year-old, who is Jewish, has publicly supported Israel, making him a target of pro-Palestinian protesters. There have been disruptions at several shows interstate. Adelaide Venue Management says it's liaising closely with the promoter to ensure a comprehensive level of security is provided. There are still limited tickets available.
One of the world's most famous monuments has been targeted by climate activists in the UK. Stonehenge has been sprayed with orange powder paint. Two protesters have been charged with defacing the 5,000-year-old landmark a day before the summer solstice celebrations at the site. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
And here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Port Adelaide has failed in its bid to have Charlie Dixon's three-match suspension downgraded. Dixon fronted the Sandford Tribunal but will miss 3 matches, meaning he's not available for the AFL side until round 18. Meantime, Greater Western Sydney defender Sam Taylor has been ruled out indefinitely after suffering a ruptured testicle. To tennis, and Aussie Jordan Thompson has joined Rinky Hijikata in the quarterfinals of the Queen's Club tournament in London. Craig Gabriel has more.
Jordan Thompson is into the quarters, but it was not the way he would have wanted to get there. In what is likely to be Andy Murray's final time at Queen's Club, the 5-time winner of this tournament retired from his match with Thompson, with Jordan leading 4-1. Even before the match started, Murray struggled with a back issue. He tried to play, but it was no use as he was in extreme discomfort. Earlier, Rinky Hijikata reached the quarters 7-6, 7-6 over Matteo Analdi and will face Sebi Korda, while in Birmingham, Ali Tomljanovic is into the quarters.
South Africa has recorded an 18-run win in its opening match of the Super 8 stages of the T20 World Cup, beating the USA. The West Indies will meet England a little later this morning. And at the Euros, it's approaching full time with Scotland and Switzerland currently locked at 1-1. Earlier, it was Germany beating Hungary 2-0, while Croatia and Albania drew 2-2. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now the FIVEAA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
15 with showers today. Tomorrow partly cloudy 16. Saturday partly cloudy 15. Sunday 16 and partly cloudy. It's currently 9. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Imagine being invisible. You could mess with someone's mind, sneak up on them, and they wouldn't know you're there. Even scare them to death. When you speed on our roads, that's what happens, because no one sees you coming. Think road safety. A message from the Government of South Australia.
What's got Mike singing? Mike just got an energy-efficient heat pump installed by EcoVantage. Not only is it using nearly 80% less energy than his old hot water system and saving hundreds off his power bills, he got it for free. Thanks to federal and SA government incentives, you can get your own energy-efficient heat pump from just $0. Pump your energy bills down with EcoVantage. Visit ecovantage.com.au.
If you've been waiting for the perfect moment to get your four-wheel drive and camping accessories, this has got to be it. TJM Clovelly Park are relocating. There's too much stuff to move, so everything has been priced to clear. And believe me, they're dead serious. X-Display bull bars, canopies, winches and loads more. It's all got to go. Some at over 50% off. Save thousands, but only while stocks last. Get in touch with TJM Clovelly Park and TJM Nailsworth.
Welcome to Life's Key Moments, brought to you by First National Real Estate.
A key to my home where my furry friends are always welcome.
The key to endless adventures in my retirement.
The key to growing our own veggies and plenty of space for the kids to play.
The key to living the dream away from the big smoke.
The kids and girls night every night.
Your key to happiness awaits. Visit firstnational.com.au or call 1800 032 332. First National Real Estate. We put you first.
Stay informed, get involved. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on 5AA Breakfast. It is the 20th of June. The weekend's just around the corner, which means it's time to spin up a movie. We'll get the wheel in after 6:30 this morning and kickstart a bit of weekend viewing recommendation for you and Lucy's movie review that'll come in tomorrow morning. We're off to the US. Tim Lester reporting for 7 News for us. Ryan Fitzgerald's got your footy tips sorted early this week, which is nice. You can get that head out the way and get on with your weekend. Matt Abraham will dissect the spin of the week. Spin-rich environment at the moment. We're going to talk about Adelaide becoming a $1 million city as well. Dr. Nicola Powell from Domain, they're the ones that have crunched the numbers and said this time next year, that's the average house price. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. I'll tell you what, it is cold as charity this morning. It's currently 8, but it feels way colder because there's a bit of wind around. It's potentially going to be quite gusty today, so keep your wits about you, but it's the apparent temperature's 6. I beg to differ. It feels colder to me. But I tell you what, folks, if you want to warm the cockles of your heart...
I was wondering where this was going.
Get on the old Facebook Supermarkets live stream and check out Will, looking absolutely resplendent. Peter Shearer, they've done it again. Is that a Windsor knot? Can you tie a Windsor knot?
I don't know what it's called. I genuinely don't know what the type of knot I do is called.
Because not having had the benefits of private schooling, I came late to wearing a tie. I think the first time I wore a tie, I wore one to... Oh, no, actually, there was a bit of a... Well, if I'm honest. In fact, I reckon I got my first tie at Peter Shearer.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it was 1984. It was the height of New Wave. So, think here...
We got black and white suit, black tie.
Songs like Fade to Grey by Visage.
Sharp haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
The fashion at the time was... Not if you were going to get a tie, I bought 2 ties. I bought a thin leather, a grey thin leather tie, and I bought a paisley tie. Not too dissimilar to the sort of busy-looking... Well, that's more floral than paisley, that tie.
Yeah, definitely floral.
A paisley tie, but we used to wear like sort of rockabilly collar tips that were made out of steel.
Yeah, right.
And you always had to do your top button right up. And... Then you sort of, dance with your moppish hair, listening to The Cure and stuff like that.
Well, I can tell you that
the
private school education didn't help with the tie later in life because there are, again, I don't know the names of each different type, but the way I did it my entire school career, not Channel 7 approved, it turns out.
Seriously?
So when I got there, I had to relearn how to do ties with the approved method. There's a little graphics card on the wall there for, miscreants like me who couldn't do it properly. But I've lived my whole life as a lie, as it turned out.
Yeah.
So I had to relearn the skill.
Oh, it's a pain in the butt, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ties are Tyres are a form of torture, I reckon. But not so much in winter, and not if you're going out at night, but in summer. Darwin casual, I reckon, is where it should be at for Australia these days. Like the idea that you're coming to town on a 40-degree day and you've got to keep your top button done up with a tie on. You know, nobody knows the crosses us men have to bear with.
That's right. The Brits export a lot of good things to the world, but the idea of what standard business attire is.
Yeah. The Indonesians have got a good approach. The batik shirt.
That is a good approach.
If you go to Flash restaurants in Jakarta, they have signs up at the front saying, for men, you either need to wear a jacket and tie or batik. So a batik shirt is regarded on the same level by them as a suit and tie, and they're excellent because they're made out of silk, and they breathe beautifully. I bought myself.
It's good they have that because there's plenty of the other Asian countries that have had a strong English influence that are very conservative when it comes to dress code. Like Singapore can be very conservative when it comes to being fancy or what's considered business attire, and so too can Japan. If you go out to places there, there'll be very strict dress codes.
Really?
That often are about wearing a suit.
For restaurants and stuff?
Yeah, for restaurants and things.
Yeah, it's a funny way to live, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, keep yourselves warm, folks.
If you do happen to find yourself in a place that requires a suit, though, Peter Shearer should be your first stop. Though,
Absolutely.
That's the point we're trying to make.
I can't even begin to describe the colour of that jacket. It's sort of like a khaki.
Lucy will come up with it.
But khaki,
she just shook her head. She
khaki
said,
makes it sound... Khaki's not a nice word.
Lucy shook her head as though you'd mispronounced something in French.
Well, hang on, we're going to have a colour argument. I'm saying that's a khaki-esque green. Lucy's saying it's charcoal.
She's coming for a
she's
close.
coming in.
She's going to come in for an official
She's coming
ruling.
in to inspect the fabric.
She's going to come in for an official ruling. Should we have a look at some of the Dutton's texts in the meantime?
We're already getting texts about the nuclear plan, as we said to you yesterday, and Matt was all over it on the morning show after 9 o'clock. Peter Dutton has announced 7 proposed sites in Australia for nuclear power stations. One of them is here, Port Augusta. And there's diametrically opposed texts coming in. I agree with both of these in a way. Morning, guys. I find it really sad and pathetic that all the states have towed the political line in regards to nuclear, especially our Premier, who's clearly changed his views. I don't know if Mally's changed his views. I think his views always been, well, the economics have to stand up.
I actually think the entire debate would have been 200% more intelligent had every opponent adopted Peter Malinowski's position on it.
Yeah.
Which is simply, got no problem with it, unless it makes people's power bills higher. And every projection I've seen is that's precisely what will happen, so I can't support it.
Yeah.
Whereas the hysterical garbage coming out of places like Victoria that has taken on the appearance of what looks like a first-year politics shoot.
I wrote a column about this yesterday. Have you read my mind?
No. Look, I get...
Victoria thinks there's no gas in Victoria. The idea that they should be listened to about anything to do with energy policy.
Oh, Victoria went back full 1970s with the instant reaction.
You and I
the food bowl. They talked about the food bowl. Jacinda Allen said no toxic nuclear waste.
Yeah.
They've had coal-fired power plants billowing smoke into the sky for the last how many decades?
She's clearly never been to Traralgon or Gippsland. You know, this is bizarre. Hang on, I'll just read the other text first before I get back to this. To conclude that text, I feel the nuclear plan for Dutton could be a game changer, as everybody that I speak to is in favour of it. But this one, Scott makes a point about the business reaction. He says, guys, Dutton's like the student who had all term to do an assignment but left it the last night. I'm all for nuclear being in the mix, but it's dead on arrival. Without costings and a plan for waste, he served Labor their attack lines on a platter. Well, yeah, I get the business part of it, Scott, because there is a degree of scepticism, but Labor's attack lines, I'm with you, Will. But to your point about you reading my mind, this is what I wrote yesterday afternoon. This is for Sunday. There's a tedious hits and memories quality to the ALP's bloody mindedness about the apparent evils of nuclear power. It's reminiscent of the 1980s when those yellow stickers were all the rage, featuring a smiling sun logo under the words, nuclear, no thanks. I know, because I stuck one on my 10-speed racer when I was at high school, having watched the nuclear war horror film the day after in our Year 10 social studies class, terrified as we all were of an apocalyptic conflagration with pre-Gorbachev USSR or the prospect of another 3 Mile Island disaster. It makes you misty-eyed hearing Albo and Chris Bowen and Tanya Plibersek raise the spectre of nuclear power stations coming soon to a neighbourhood near you, possibly your own neighbourhood, if you're unlucky to be on Peter Dutton's nuclear-powered death list. Fish with 3 eyeballs popping up in the local pond, kiddies walking to school in gas masks, playing with spent plutonium rods in the local slag heap with a half-life of 1 billion years. It's the early 80s again. Pass me the bong while I light some incense, slipping in my Roman sandals. I'm going to get my old bike out of the shed and ride into town for some street theatre.
Did you write that? Bang on, David. Bang on.
We spend too much time together.
If you want to argue that the economics of it, fine. Perfectly legitimate basis from which to say I don't believe this is going to work out. It's not going to serve people, or it costs it, whatever. Fine. But the moment you go down the path of toxic, dangerous, pathetic, risky, you're an intellectual dope, and what's more, you're treating voters like a bunch of dopes as well, who haven't seen that the rest of the world has moved on over the last 50 years.
I worry too, point well made, that business is kind of lazy. The last thing they like is disruption. And hearing all of the existing energy companies go, we're not so sure. Well, if any of them want to explain why the status quo is good, I'll go he. And it proves one thing, they're all being paid far too much bloody money, because if they reckon the power bills at the moment are currently affordable, then they are clearly not in touch with the common man and woman.
Keep the thoughts coming in, folks. 8223 Jump on the Dutton's text line 044808 1395. Drive away with an amazing finance rate of 1.9% on select models at Dutton's Nissan. T's and C's apply.
Are you ready for this? Let's go. Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance sale is on now. And we're talking great deals right across the entire range of Mazdas. You'll find plenty of new Mazdas in stock, all models and colours to suit your style, or drive away in a low-K demo. And they're available for immediate delivery. Get ready and go to Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance sale. Just a short drive from the city.
Drummond Golf is turning 50 and we're giving you the chance to win a new VW Golf 110 TSI Life. Get into Drummond Golf and for every $100 spent on selected big brand golf gear, you get an entry into the draw. There's over $80,000 in prizes to be won, including drivers and hundreds of Drummond Golf gift vouchers. And Drummond Club members get 2 entries for every $100 spent. Don't miss the Drummond Golf 50th anniversary and your chance to win a new VW Golf. Conditions apply. See in store or online for details.
The RFDS, that's the Royal Flying Doctor Service, airlifts 15 South Australians every day, speeding them to the life-saving surgery or specialist treatment they desperately need. It's an incredible and much-needed service that we're very lucky to have.
So if you hear a plane flying overhead, remember it could be the Royal Flying Doctor Service on their way to help someone suffering a heart attack or a motor vehicle accident. They could be helping a new mum deliver a premature baby or providing life-saving support for anyone in need, no matter where they live, country or city.
You can help keep the Flying Doctor flying through your support. The Royal Flying Doctor Service is able to purchase its flying intensive care units that care for 15 South Australians every day. For the people and the life you love, help keep the Flying Doctor flying. Donate today. Visit flyingdoctor.org.au.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to not deal with organising all the trades? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? To the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers. Plus, we can manage the installation and all sub-trades at a fixed price. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
Operation Flinders has already changed the lives of 10,000 young people over the years. Now they need your support for 10,000 more. Through remote outback adventure therapy programs, Operation Flinders changes the lives of young people all over South Australia and helps build connection, purpose and resilience. To keep this incredible and important program going, please donate this June. Your donation will enable Operation Flinders to purchase vital equipment for participants. Visit operationflinders.org.au. 5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes after 6 news headlines on this Thursday morning. The Colombian Navy has seized more than 2 tons of cocaine after a high-speed boat race. This sounds like a Bond subplot that got left on the cutting room floor.
Narcos 6.
Yeah. To evade capture, the crew threw hundreds of packets of the drug into the sea. 4 men were caught and arrested. The drugs had a street value of more than, how's this, $118 million. Wow. $118 million.
Just the economies of scale. When Escobar was still kicking, wasn't he like in the top 10 on the Forbes rich list?
Is that right?
Yeah, he was. He was. He's estimated.
How do they quantify what he... Oh, they just they take a punt.
Yeah.
I imagine he's not sort of got declared earnings or publicly listed companies.
He was on the list for 7 years, at least you said.
Wow.
Have you seen the very first series of Narcos?
No.
Oh, it's excellent. Narcos gets a bit thin. It's like Underbelly, Underbelly 6. People who don't pay their parking fines in Western Sydney. But like the first Underbelly was excellent, about Carl Williams. The first Narco, some of the Narcos are still good. The one about Mexico and Tijuana is really good. But the one about Escobar, the first one, is sensational.
Trade and national security high on the agenda as the Foreign Minister visits Papua New Guinea. Penny Wong and Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles are in the Pacific nation. They're meeting with a delegation of senior ministers. Senator Wong says bolstering PNG's domestic security is good for both nations.
A stronger and safer Papua New Guinea is good for PNG. It is also good for Australia, and it is good for the region. This is the logic and the imperative of the work we are doing together on your domestic security.
This is an interesting news item, but you've got to remember this is a national thing, so South Australia is always a little bit different. Consumer Group Choice has released its first report into supermarket prices after being commissioned by the federal government earlier this year. The research shows Aldi is the cheapest major grocery chain. Coles and Woolworths were both more expensive with little difference between their prices.
The thing I find most depressing about that is how Coles and Woolworths are basically interchangeable for pricing.
It's not competition as we traditionally understand it, is it?
It's not. It's too cute. It's too coincidental. But that is. I was reading that story before. That is the best ever free ad for Aldi, isn't it? Did you ever go to Aldi?
Absolutely. No.
I've gone a few times to the Aldinga one. They got a few items that are excellent. They've got these. Their pre-made pizzas are brilliant, and they've got one that's a beetroot pizza. Sounds weird. It's absolutely brilliant.
There's someone,
and they make gozlamays, those Turkish pizzas, and they're like $4.50. It's crazy.
And there's papadums or something or other that people say are just out of this world.
Yeah, they've got a whole line of Australian-made sort of ethnic foods, international foods, a bit of a quaint term, ethnic. But yeah, they've got rotis that are really flaky, parathas, things like that. But every time I've gone in there, because it's just good, you heat up some spinach and feta gozlame in the fry pan with a bit of olive oil. It costs you nothing. It's vastly cheaper for so much stuff.
This is a curious news item. Federal police and autism experts are joining forces to reduce the number of young people being radicalised by extremists. The AFP is working with Aspect, Australia's peak autism spectrum body, to work out how and why neurodivergent youth are at risk of being targeted by violent extremist groups online. Experts say young people on the spectrum spend longer online because they're often uncomfortable interacting face-to-face, and once hooked on an idea, they're also more likely to become fixated by it. I've not heard that link ever made before.
No, I can't think of any cases where there's been, a person with autism has emerged as, part of some terror plot.
The fact that
it's interesting.
There's the actual the peak body, according to this report, are lending their name to it gives it a large degree of credibility. In Saudi Arabia, hundreds of people are having reported to have died in their annual pilgrimage to Mecca due to extreme heat. AFP news agencies reporting at least 600 Egyptian pilgrims and 68 Indians are among the dead.
Crikey.
Listen to this report from an English person who said and spoke to the BBC and said it is absolutely harrowing.
As you were walking, you could not walk 20 yards except you would see someone struggling in the heat. People were doing whatever they could to shade themselves. I've never seen so many people struggle collectively.
That sounds horrible.
Nearly 700 people. That's remarkable.
Apparently, every Muslim is meant to go to Mecca at least once in their life.
Yeah.
Because if you know how they wear those black hats in Indonesia, if you wear a white one, it means you've been to Mecca.
Is that right?
So the white guys are the I've been to Mecca people.
I think I've been to Mecca and I've got the white hat.
Yeah, that's right. I've been to Mecca and all I got was this lousy hat.
8.7 degrees outside of the city at the moment, heading for a top of just 15 today, up to 5 mils of rain. We didn't get a whole lot in the last 24 hours, so it wasn't at the top end of the predicted rain spectrum. 7.6 mils for Adelaide since 9 a.m. yesterday. In the west and north, 3.6 at Largs, so not a whole lot there. 3 at Morphettville. Payneham got 12 mils. Belair 13 got the majority of it. Today, 5 mils probably on the way, or somewhere in that order. 16 expected top tomorrow, 15 on Saturday, 16 again on Sunday before we get to some rain to start next week. 15 and up to 4 mils on Monday, 16 and up to 4 on Tuesday, and 16 up to 5 mils on Wednesday.
Haven't been to Mecca myself. Pretty sure they don't sell novelty tourist items though.
I wouldn't have.
Like a Mecca stubby holder.
There might be a gap in the market for you. No, the stubby holder I think would really struggle.
That might really battle.
How are you, Tom Wren?
I'm really good, thank you. We'll start with a bit of footy. 1 out of 2 for Port, so they got Zach Butters off. He's free to play this week, but Charlie Dixon was at the tribunal last night, not so successful, so disappointing.
Still 3 weeks.
Still 3 weeks, and that was despite the fact the shoulder agreed that he didn't make head-high contact with the shoulder, and it was head-to-head contact, but they said, you know what, it's still severe impact, concussion, so he's going to miss the next 3 weeks.
He wasn't coming back in for Port anyway, was he? At AFL level?
Probably not. It might have been a chance because they lost, and, you know, Ollie Lord didn't set the world on fire, but he had only been given the one game. But it makes the decision for them now, doesn't it?
Is there an argument, maybe Charlie might be well served, given his body, by having a month just not playing footy in the middle of the season?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the worst thing that's going to happen to him.
And
I feel sorry for him. Like, I feel sorry for the Westies guy more, but he's not a dirty player, Dixon.
Well, he's got that was the other thing they argued. He's got an exemplary record.
I can't remember him being reported.
No, he's got an outstanding
He looks
record.
scary.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's not a thug.
No, he's definitely not a thug.
Is he playing his last year, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. His body's banged up. He's given everything, and he's been a great player, but he
seems like the world's nicest guy.
Yeah, big boy, and they're all big boys.
What about the size of his hands?
Oh, he's a monster, an absolute monster.
We'll see him in here a bit with Sam doing the car show.
Yeah, and a lovely guy.
He's a terrific bloke.
He's just a really well-spoken, lovely guy. But unfortunately, he will not be playing for the next few weeks. Teams tonight, of course, no Crows. They're back on the track today. Just been watching a bit of the Euros. Scotland just had a game. Geez, there have been some banging goals and some cracking matches.
Did you see Turkey, Georgia?
Unbelievable.
Those first 2 Turkish goals was something else.
Well, they're a good side.
That absolute howitzer on the left foot from that guy was his first game.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
He's 19, I think. Plays for Real Madrid.
Yep.
And there was another cracking one this morning in the Scotland-Switzerland game. Switzerland, I think it was Shaqiri scored in the 26th minute, absolute perler as well. So,
You're revealing the score of that one yet, Tom?
1-1.
Really? Okay.
Come on,
Scotland. It's good on you, Scotland. Well, they got flogged by the Germans in the opening game.
Yeah, they have to win their last game and now hope that Germany also beats Switzerland to go through. So, unlikely, but still a chance.
The standard is so high, isn't it? You watch it,
but
they all, as proud, in a tournament, people lift so much more. Like, I thought, even though Georgia lost that game, they played beautifully.
It was their first goal in a major competition.
Did Albania win last night as well?
2-2, scored in the 95th minute against Croatia.
Oh, it's equalised against Croatia.
Yep. Both sides are going to struggle to make it there. I think Spain and I can't remember.
That's bad for Croatia. They came third in the last World Cup.
Yeah, they're going to struggle to go through big time. Bad result.
Would have been ugly scenes last night at the Croatian club out there in where is it? North East Road.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it out there?
And Adelaide Raiders is the club that they're affiliated with.
Where people spitting their chivapchichis across the room in disgust.
Good on you,
boys.
Thanks,
good
mate.
stuff.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
15 degrees with showers today. With the 6:30 news, I'm Graham Goodings.
Physio Extra for Locomat robotic technology treating stroke, cerebral palsy, brain and spinal cord injuries. Visit physioextra.com.
We're being told don't shop on autopilot, with prices at Aldi found to be 25% cheaper than the big two supermarkets. Choice has released its first quarterly report into supermarket pricing. Mystery shoppers were sent to find a basket of 14 comparable baskets at Coles, Woolworths and Aldi. Mary Rafferty from Choice says Aldi was noticeably cheaper.
Our basket cost us $51.51 on average, whereas the basket from Coles was the most expensive at $69.33, and the basket from Woolworths only slightly cheaper at $68.58.
The debate has begun after the opposition revealed plans for 2 nuclear power stations to be up and running by the mid-2030s under a coalition government. Peter Dutton has unveiled a plan to build 7 facilities in all on the sites of former coal power plants across the country. Aidan Morrison from the Centre for Independent Studies says nuclear produces energy no matter the weather conditions.
It's actually got a lower carbon footprint as well than most renewables, particularly when you account for potential land clearing that might be involved for building, for example, large wind farms up and down the Great Dividing Range. So very, very good for the environment, but being able to have energy on demand is excellent economically.
Breaking into the property market is going to get even harder in the coming financial year, according to Domain. The median price for both houses and units in Adelaide is on the rise. It will reach $984,000 and $519,000 respectively. Both are new records for SA real estate. The leaders of Russia and North Korea have signed a security pact pledging the two countries will help each other if threatened. The Russian President Vladimir Putin is in North Korea on an official visit, his first in more than 20 years. The pact cements a blossoming partnership which observers say could have significant ramifications. Dr. Victor Cha from the Centre for Strategic and International Studies has told the BBC the details have been left vague for a reason.
It's entirely in violation of 11 UN Security Council resolutions on North Korean proliferation and weapon sales that Russia had signed on to. These are clearly invalid now, at least from a Russian perspective, and they've gone fully along with North Korea.
National statistics will now be kept on domestic and sexual violence perpetrators and their contact with the justice system. Gabrielle Hodson reports.
As part of a decade-long national plan to reduce violence against women and children, the Bureau of Statistics will now collect data from state and federal police, criminal courts and corrective services to create a database. The Criminal Justice Data Asset will give governments hard evidence about what's working when it comes to stopping domestic and sexual violence. News Corp reports it'll be used to fine-tune targeted programs and interventions. ABS data on sexual violence show it's on the rise, with 1.9% of women reporting it in 2021 compared to 1.2% a decade earlier. People worried about family violence should call 1-800-RESPECT.
Jerry Seinfeld will be in town tonight performing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Several shows interstate have been disrupted by pro-Palestinian protesters. Adelaide venue management says it's liaising closely with the promoter to ensure a comprehensive level of security is provided. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
And it's good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Graham. We'll start with some football. No luck for Port Adelaide at the Sandford Tribunal last night. They were trying to have Charlie Dixon's 3-match ban downgraded, but they were unsuccessful, meaning he'll miss the next 3 weeks and won't be available to return into the AFL side until round 18. Let's go to tennis. Rinky Hijikata's through to the quarterfinals of an ATP 500 event for the first time after recording a straight sets win against Italy's Matteo Arnaldi. He says he now can't wait to take on Grigor Dimitrov.
Well, he dusted me up at the start of the year in Brisbane, so yeah, I'd be keen to maybe kind of get one back there because he beat me pretty good at the start of the year and he played some unbelievable tennis there, and I definitely felt like I was a little outplayed there, so yeah, I'll prepare well and, I won't be phased. I look forward to the challenge.
Fellow Aussie Jordan Thompson is also through to the quarterfinals. Well, a 1-1 draw at the Euros this morning between Scotland and Switzerland. The Swiss equalising with a stunner in the 26th minute thanks to Shaqiri.
Oh, that's loose and took it early and scores a stunner! How about that? Switzerland's man for the big occasion has come up with a massive goal for Murat Yakin's men.
Audio there thanks to Optus, and there were 2 other games a little earlier. Germany 2-0 winners against Hungary, while Croatia and Albania drew 2-2. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now the 5AA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
15 with showers today. Tomorrow partly cloudy, 16. Saturday partly cloudy, 15. Sunday 16, partly cloudy. It's currently 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7, weekend just around the corner. Crows fans especially are looking for something to do. Port fans have got their team to watch. Non-footy fans always on the lookout for things to say in and do on a cold weekend. Movies are a good way to pass the time. We might just have a recommendation for you, or you might have one for us. It's movie time. Movies are better on the big screens at Wallace Cinemas. Mitcham, Mount Barker, no longer in the Piccadilly. Wallace.com.au. Whole team's in the studio, which is always nice. Sam's perched over the spinning wheel of...
Sam is back.
He's back, which
On
is
your
great.
Sam.
You can give it a good old-fashioned spin. Lucy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you, Lucy?
I'm pumped. I'm ready.
All right, let's give it a spin. Watch on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. He's been doing arm weights in his week off, Sam. That's clearly what's been going on. He spun up at 21, Luce. What does 21 mean?
21. Oh, we've already had this number before.
Oh, so it's...
But I know, I've refilled the numbers that we've done.
Okay, so what year is it?
The year is 1984.
1984. Okay. Early 80s.
84, okay.
Any guesses?
Well, it's an era of ribald comedy.
Oh, it could be Porky's too.
I bet it's not.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
No, 822300000. Karate Kid
Oh, yes.
up against Police Academy.
Oh, well, there you go. We got a ribald comedy. That's right. Karate Kid or Police Academy. 822300000. Mr. Miyagi v Hightower. Call in. What should Lucy watch and review?
I got nothing here because I've never seen the Karate Kid, and strike me down, I don't find the Police Academy films funny.
Is there more than one?
Oh, there's about 50.
As a kid,
Okay.
the sound effects guy, someone about it, John Blake would be listening, he'd be punching the radio.
Bobcat Goldthwait?
No, not Bobcat Goldthwait. The guy who did the sound effects on, he became famous for it. We could make, doors
Sirens
opening and sirens and stuff. As a kid, that was the best. He was a legend. And I know nothing else about the film. I can't remember. I'm sure we watched it for that purpose. But we loved him. Turns out he toured the world after he became really famous. The only thing you couldn't ask him to do was do any sounds during these interviews.
Is this Michael Winslow?
Michael Winslow.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
who it is, Luce. So
What he said, I'm not.
he goes, I don't do these things on. They're not part of the interview. Yeah. So you imagine how.
So what are you
interesting-
talking about?
Well, I don't know.
The Middle East.
How we. Karate Kid was the sort of kids movie for me growing up. Like the Mr. Miyagi, the bonsai plant, the crane kick. Like these things are all legendary.
There's an excellent restaurant in Melbourne called Mr. Miyagi.
Well, there you go. Johnny Lawrence, legend. Dave in Blakeview, good morning.
I've just come on. Dave, what was the films?
Karate Kid or Police Academy, Dave?
Oh, Karate bloody Kid. Nah, Police Academy. Luce.
So which one are you picking, Dave?
Oh, go Police Academy, mate.
All right, Police Academy. Thank you, Dave. 822300000 is the number. We use this is interesting because they're two very different genre of film as well. One's a real slapstick comedy, and the other one's a karate film.
But isn't it about like a learning journey? Isn't that sort of Karate Kid? The whole theme of it is, following your mentor and.
Yeah. It's a kid out of place who goes. He moves across the country effectively, and then lives in this sort of down and out part, Reseda in California, and it's a fish out of water story a little bit as well.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And he gets bullied, and finds a mentor.
Works out just how to kick people.
Yeah, exactly
Why
right.
not?
Back in the day, the simpler time, David, where it was okay to solve your problems with violence. Frank in Prospect, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen and lady. I was thinking about the Karate Kid, but I do like the series that Netflix has.
Yes, I've watched it. What's it called?
Karate Kid.
Is it called Karate Kid?
Oh, the aptly named Karate Kid series, based on the
Yeah,
film of the same name.
because
No, it's called Cobra Kai. It's called Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, yeah, 4 seasons. And that is so funny because,
it's hilarious.
The Joey Lawrence.
He's superb. He is.
Is it?
I'm with you, Frank. I think it's a very funny show.
There was a 2010 film also of The Karate Kid, which I'm sure is nowhere near as good as either
No,
of those.
they've made many sequels, and none of the sequels were as good. The original's terrific. Jude, good morning.
Good morning, Police Academy all the way.
Thank you, Jude.
Jude, have you seen more than the first Police Academy? Have you watched them all?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Only two.
Only two, that's pretty good.
There's follow-up films. Like there's a Flying High 2 that's just terrible.
Nah, Flying High 2's fine.
You reckon?
Yeah.
No.
Flying High 2's good.
No, sorry, Caddyshack 2. There's a Caddyshack 2.
I didn't even know there was a Caddyshack 2.
But I didn't like Caddyshack 1, so I won't be watching the second one. Let's
Wash
go to
your
Mark
mouth
in
out.
Highbury.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning, how you going?
Good, thanks, Mark.
Good old Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Where are we at in the votes here?
3-2.
There's about 4 people on the text line saying wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax
off. I
off.
do know that reference.
Yeah, a lot of pop culture references came out of it.
Yeah, it's regarding like washing your car, isn't it? But it's how you move your arms.
Yeah, wax on, wax off.
To block.
Just teaching him a lesson.
To block.
Make him do hard
kicks
labour.
or
But
block
that's
something.
right. In the process, he was actually learning to
I thought it was
defend
about
himself.
getting your back ship-shape for summer when you go to the beach. Wax on, wax off.
Well, I know a lady, Dave. She'll help you out.
There's a good scene in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Have you seen that film?
Yes, and they filmed that totally organically, and it was in real time. They didn't. That was the one time they took it.
That's right. It was
Was
a one
that
take.
Steve Carell's real hair?
Yep.
You're kidding me.
One take, one set of reactions.
Yeah.
You're joking.
Yeah, they did it for real. Let's take one more call. Andrew and Craigmore, good morning.
G'day guys, it's a Cocktravox from Craigmore here. There's got to be only one thing. Mahoney, your ass is mine.
Police Academy, thank you, Andrew. I like when our listeners give themselves nicknames. I reckon that's terrific.
Yeah, it's good.
We should be more of it.
Yeah.
And we'll make it. Let's call Emma. Emma, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
How you going there, Emma? What's your choice?
Our choice for me and my family is Karate Kid. I've watched it growing up, and I've just recently watched it with my 5.5-year-old, and he's going around the house, wax on, wax off, doing the same kick.
I think there's something so cute about little kids who see something like that, or say Kung Fu Panda, which they are excellent, and they walk around just swinging their arms and kicking their legs out. This little 4-year-old, I think that's really cute.
It's nice watching films with kids for the first time. I was really happy when I think Charlie was about 4 and he went to daycare and he walked in and he just said, "Say hello to my little friend."
I'm sure they appreciated that too.
Well, the other time, you talking to me?
Oh, really?
You talking to me?
You introduced him to Dirty Harry.
No, Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Oh, Taxi Driver. Of course it is. De Niro.
Are we calling it?
Yeah, what am I watching?
You're watching The Karate Kid, Lise. Yeah, it was
really?
It was 5... No, it's 4-3. 4-3.
To Karate Kid, right.
5-3.
A couple of texts here. One from, actually, Russell didn't like either of these. I feel so sorry for Lucy. Both these films are lame. 100% DNF, did not finish. I'm not aiming to put them in the Mad Max category, but, I mean, you never know.
I know. I'm with Russell. If it had been Police Academy, I think you would have turned Police Academy off.
I think that's right.
Okay.
But I actually think you'll like the Karate Kid.
Karate Kid,
you want to know about it.
Is inoffensive at worst.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. We look forward to it tomorrow morning, Luce. We'll see what you made of it.
Wax on.
See if you sort of take up a career in martial arts after this.
Imagine that.
I've got dodgy hips, so no.
Coming tomorrow, Luce is wearing a Rising Sun bandana, smashing bricks.
All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to Lube House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. Looking sharp. And morning, David. Roads looking pretty good for the run into work today. Accident and breakdown free. Just a few showers to look out for. And some roadworks at Highbury. Lower North East Road near Perseverance Road. Bit sluggish at Coromandel Valley at the moment for works. Main Road near Black Road. And we're quite busy South Road at Glandore. Road plates in use there. Super bumpy and speeds at 40. Cameras Beaver Road, Eagle Farm and Clareville Road at Campbelltown. Looking for a new bed frame? The Snooze end of financial year sale is on now. Save up to 50% off mattresses and up to 40% off bed frames. Hurry, sale ends soon. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you're a market-leading builder like Regent Homes, you never rest on your laurels.
It's why Regent Homes is South Australia's only builder offering 3D virtual reality technology in their Envision Design Studio. At your first design meeting, you'll walk through your home in virtual reality. It's a wow moment, enriching your experience so you can make the right design choices from the start. Regent Homes. Innovative design, elevated living. Visit regenthomes.com.au.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. When you buy 3 Wild Peak AT3W all-terrain tyres, you'll get the 4th tyre free. The perfect tyre for your next adventure. City Discount Tires are a proud multi-tyre and wheel brand retailer offering great service at great prices. Visit citydiscounttires.com.au to find your nearest store. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
There's only 1 week left of Sasiri's music history-making sale with over $1 million worth of instruments priced to clear. It really is Adelaide's biggest ever music sale, so big in fact you never see savings like this again.
Get up to 60% off drums, up to 30% off electric guitars, bass guitars, amps and accessories with discounts on keyboards, brass and woodwind, PA systems and so much more.
Just 1 week left and it all has to go. $1 million worth of gear priced to clear, so if you want to save like never before, now's the time to act. It really is a once-only opportunity.
Sasiri's music, I'll spell it out for you. Sasiri, C-E-C-E-R-E-S. You'll find them at 41 McGill Road, Stepney.
Tucker Carlson has interviewed Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Argentinian President Javier Milei and Robert Kennedy Jr. Come and see Tucker Carlson this Sunday. Go to Ticketek now and secure your tickets today.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Barossa and Clare has always been well worth the trip, especially with their end of financial year sale on over 500 new, used and demo cars, including over 100 certified used commercial utes in stock, many with new car warranties and low kilometres packed with accessories. Plus, they're offering an additional $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Head to one of Steinborner's 8 locations or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive, it's well worth the trip.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
12 to 7 always kicks off a funny debate, the movie bowl segment on the Dutton's text line. We'll get to some of your texts in a moment. Drive away with an amazing finance rate of 1.9% on select models at Dutton's Nissan. T's and C's apply. But let's talk about the weather first. The weather, the big story this morning, if you're waking up and you want to challenge the Bureau's assertion that it's 8.7 degrees outside, you'll have some sympathy because it feels cooler. Simon Timke is from the Weather Bureau. Your instrumentation is never in doubt, Simon. We know it's 8.7 out there. How much rain do you think we're going to get today?
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Look, I think that Adelaide probably won't be the wettest place in the state, but we will see a couple of showers. We've recorded, since 9 a.m. yesterday, we've recorded 7.6 millimetres, and generally across the Adelaide Plains, 3 to 8 millimetres, and about the hills, most places sort of picking up 10 to 20 millimetres, the wettest spot being Piccadilly, 28 millimetres, and Ashton had 21 millimetres. Today, I think the wettest areas will be a bit further to the north and west, but we're still likely to see a couple of millimetres in the Adelaide area. Looking at the radar at the moment, nothing over Adelaide right now, but there's a few showers over York Peninsula and just to the west there, so I suspect that we'll see those showers develop over the Adelaide area a little bit later this morning, and then gradually clear away a bit later this afternoon and evening. So generally speaking, a couple of millimetres around the Adelaide area today. Temperature-wise, as you said, we're sitting on 8.6 degrees in the city at the moment, which is our overnight minimum temperature as well, and expecting a maximum of 15 degrees for the city, 15 for Elizabeth, Glenelg and Noarlunga as well, and 13 degrees for Mount Barker. Not too many showers left for Friday, I don't think. Just a slight chance of a shower, but wouldn't expect any significant totals for Friday. Still a bit of cloud around. The wind's generally fairly light. A little bit colder overnight, down to 7, and a maximum for Friday of 16. And then Saturday should be dry as well. A little bit of a cold start, down to 5 degrees for the city. Probably a little bit colder about the suburbs and the hills. So there might be a little bit of frost about the northern suburbs. Maybe a little bit of fog about the hills as well on Saturday morning. Pretty cool day though. 15 degrees the maximum for Saturday. The winds will turn northeasterly on Sunday, freshen up a little bit, but it will be a little bit cold again to start off with, 6 degrees before we see those winds pick up a bit. 16 degrees the maximum, should stay dry, but with a bit of cloud around at times. And then the next front will move across early next week, likely to see a shower or two for Monday, 15 degrees the maximum, and showers continuing on and off through Tuesday and Wednesday. Maximum temperatures around 16 degrees, guys.
Good stuff, Simon. Thanks for that. Simon Timke at the Weather Bureau. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable David Backus joins us. David, there's been a servo robbery, this one at Seaview Downs.
Yeah, so it was about 10 p.m. last night. Patrols and dog ops responded to a hold-up alarm at a service station on Seacombe Road at Seaview Downs. And at the scene, a staff member reported being threatened with a knife before cash and cigarettes were stolen. So patrols quickly established cordons, and police dog Duke searched the area but was unable to locate the man who was last seen walking west on Seacombe Road towards Davenport Terrace. So the man was wearing a black balaclava, dark sunglasses and a mostly black bicycle helmet. He was also wearing black track pants and a black hooded jumper. And we'd asked anyone with information to please contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
David, also a car's hit a tree at West Croydon and the driver's done the bolt.
Yeah, that's right. So these guys have been undone by technology. So that was about 12:30am this morning, and we received an automated Telstra message that a crash had occurred on Croydon Avenue at West Croydon. When police arrived at the scene, they found crash damage to a tree and some skid marks, but there was no car. So they've done a search of the nearby area and they've located a Holden Commodore on nearby Day Terrace with crash damage. So police dog Chaos was called in to assist, and he's followed a track from the car to a nearby home, locating two men behind a fence. So police spoke to the 18-year-old and a 23-year-old man and established that the 18-year-old had been driving the crashed vehicle. So he was breath tested and he's returned a positive result of 0.107. So he was arrested and charged with drive without due care, fail to stop at the scene of a crash, drink driving and providing false information. He's lost his licence on the spot for 12 months and he'll be bailed to appear in the Port Adelaide Magistrates Court on 18th of July. And his mate, the 23-year-old from Mount Osmond, he was also reported for providing false information. He'll be summoned to appear in court at a later date.
What was the go with the Telstra message, David? How did you get the automated message?
Yeah, so with some of the phones, if they're set up, they've got like a crash alert, and that goes through to authorities. And
so it was their phone that told you that the crash had happened?
Their phone, yeah.
Oh, that's
How good's that?
Then you hit find this drunken yobbo's iPhone, and next thing you know, you're on the veranda.
Yeah, exactly. Fortunately, not always crashes, but on occasion we get those alerts, and there's been an accident. So.
That's interesting. Good story. Well done. David Backus there, Senior Constable from SAPOL.
I've not heard anyone being found that way before, but I think the new iPhones have that technology in them, the crash detection. New Apple Watches might have it in it as well, I think.
They got the idea off Mike and Darren Steele. Because the Care Alert Smart Dial has been doing that for years.
They should sue Apple.
They should. Be a real David v. Goliath, wouldn't it?
Would be. Poor little Apple.
Yeah, that's right.
Should we do some text while we wait for Tim Lester in the US?
Paul from McGill with some culinary tips for this cold weather. He says tomato soup with toasted ciabatta, perfect lunch on these cold days. Speaking of films, Rob, geez, Rob's funny. We can't read out his earlier text, but we did read it and laughed out loud during the news break. He says, I watched the Michael Caine movie Zulu with my 7-year-old son back in the day. It was not a good move for the nightmares that followed that night. Is that even true, Rob? One of my best mates, his dad took him to see Raging Bull when he was in like grade 2.
Oh dear.
Yeah. One of his
that would have been confronting.
Formative memories. Jake LaMotta on the rampage.
All right, let's head to the US. Tim Lester for 7 News is on duty. Tim, good morning to you. The North Korea-Russian relationship, it's been the subject of a degree of mirth, but in a serious sense, I mean, North Korea are making the war in Ukraine possible, aren't they? And good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Indeed, they've all, according to the US State Department, North Korea has already been prolific in supplying Russia, particularly with artillery shells, but also other needed military supplies to keep the Russian invasion of Ukraine going. So Russia badly needs them. And in a sense, you can see this happening with all of this pomp and pageantry turned on in Pyongyang for Russia's Vladimir Putin. He hasn't been there in 24 years. It's that long since a Russian leader has done a visit like this. He needs North Korea. At least it seems he needs them. The fascinating, perhaps the really unanswered question, though, is what military technology or understanding is going the other way from Russia back to North Korea as quid pro quo, and might it assist the North Koreans developing their nuclear program? And perhaps Vladimir Putin wants that to be an open question and is taunting the West with a little bit of, you run against me in Ukraine, this is what you get.
You're right about the pomp and pageantry, Tim. Where do they find all those people waving the flags? The vision out of Pyongyang is extraordinary, isn't it?
It's stunning. The envy of many a leader in the Western world looking in that they could command a crowd like that so well choreographed to receive a foreign leader. It is astonishing, but it's also it is quite mysterious to think just how much strong-arming or persuasion, for lack of a better word, is needed to bring that many people together celebrating Vladimir Putin and the country.
I suppose if you do get the call from the authorities in Pyongyang saying you've been called up for smiling and flag-waving duty, you're not going to say, look, I'd love to help, but I've got something on that day.
Oh, busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. Sorry, guys.
Hey, Tim, sorry, a question without notice. I hate to do this to you, but I'm just intrigued what the build-up to next week's debate with the presidential debate is. I think it's the end of next week, isn't it?
It's next Thursday here in the US, so that's Friday in Australia. Just a little over a week away. Enormous interest in it. But debates, as you know, in this country are very big and have a history of being important milestones in elections. They matter. So there's a lot of interest, all the more so because I think many are wondering how Joe Biden will go, given his age-related issues and how he'll perform. And also Donald Trump has shown his own signs of struggling at 78 years old. There doesn't have to be a lot go wrong for them in that regard, and this debate can be very important.
It feels like a higher stakes debate than we might otherwise have seen, despite the fact that in the US they're obviously always very important. Fascinating to chat, Tim. Thanks for your time this morning. Tim Lester for 7 News in the United States.
If things get tight during the debate, Joe could always just wander off.
Well, I think that's why a lot of people will be watching.
Well, Rumble in the Jungle, the Thriller in Manila's will be the Thriller with dementia.
You might have a debate between one guy who'll go off script and start talking about electrifying sharks and another bloke who might just wander off altogether. It's like, I won't miss this debate for the world.
No, it could be like performance art.
Just superb to watch.
A lot of really interesting and very diverse opinions about nuclear power. And we haven't even really been talking about it that much. We might save them for after 7 o'clock.
All right, we'll do that then. And a wrap of other stories that are knocking around Adelaide today, including one of the great comedians of all time in town, Jerry Seinfeld. We'll talk about that next.
Are you ready for this? Let's go. Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance sale is on now. And we're talking great deals right across the entire range of Mazdas. You'll find plenty of new Mazdas in stock, all models and colours to suit your style, or drive away in a low-K demo. And they're available for immediate delivery. Get ready and go to Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance sale. Just a short drive from the city.
The critical part of any healthcare is the care. It's about being by your side when you and your loved ones need us most. Through late night fevers, through the rough and tumble of weekend sports, through weird rashes, mystery aches, and knowing in your heart that something's not quite right. From surgery to rehabilitation, through emergencies, mental illness, chronic diseases, and for better health. Your doctor cares. Let's take care of them too. Authorised by Dr. David Pope, Sasmoa, Adelaide.
Now, where did that receipt go? Wait, Rex? What's that in your mouth? Give it back. Give it. Gentle. Fridge magnet.
Receipts too hard to handle? End of financial year is better off on Xero.
Now how am I going to claim that socket wrench?
Search XERO today.
Welcome to Life's Key Moments, brought to you by First National Real Estate.
A key to my home where my furry friends are always welcome.
The key to endless adventures in my retirement.
The key to growing our own veggies and plenty of space for the kids to play.
The key to living the dream away from the big smoke.
The kids and girls night?
Every night. Your key to happiness awaits. Visit firstnational.com.au or call 1800 032 332. First National Real Estate. We put you first.
Local news and information first. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Showers today, heading for 15 degrees with the 7 o'clock news. Good morning. I'm Graham Goodings.
Hands you can trust and state-of-the-art facilities. Physio Extra, tailoring care for you. PhysioExtra.com.
The Greens are renewing their calls for divestiture powers, with new data showing just 1% difference between grocery prices at Coles and Woolworths. Research from Choice reveals Aldi is the cheapest supermarket for Australian shoppers. The Greens argue grocery chains should be forcibly broken up if they rip off consumers. Senator Nick McKim says people deserve more options.
It beggars belief that two supposedly completely separate supermarkets could land with effectively no difference in price at all on a basket of staple food items. And look, this report shows that the choice between Coles and Woolworths is no choice at all.
The only way is up when it comes to house and unit prices in SA. Domain is forecasting the median price for a house in Adelaide by the end of the 2025 financial year will top $984,000. Units will also hit new record of $519,000. The price hikes will be driven by a number of factors, including strong population growth and increased borrowing power. The state government has launched a campaign aimed at taking pressure off our overstressed hospitals and emergency departments. The Urgency campaign on social media and billboards, television, radio and YouTube starts on Sunday. The ads encourage us to call Health Direct for care options if they're unsure whether it's actually an emergency. Australia has stepped up its support of Papua New Guinea's security needs. Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles have met with a delegation of PNG's senior ministers discussing the nation's trade and national security targets. Senator Wong says Australia is dedicated to achieving the security goals set out by the two nations.
This discussion about the three tiers of security cooperation, domestic, sub-regional and then regional. We are very committed to ensuring that that is the approach that we take.
The leaders of Russia and North Korea have signed a security pact. The Russian President Vladimir Putin is in North Korea on an official visit, his first visit there in more than 20 years. Rain is expected to ease today after good falls overnight. Simon Timke from the Bureau.
Since 9 a.m. yesterday, we've recorded 7.6 millimetres, and generally across the Adelaide Plains, 3 to 8 millimetres, and about the hills, most places sort of picking up 10 to 20 millimetres. The wettest spot being Piccadilly, 28 millimetres, and Ashton had 21 millimetres.
Security will be stepped up at the entertainment centre tonight. Mel Usher says Jerry Seinfeld's national tour is attracting protesters.
A comedy legend will take to the stage at the Entertainment Centre tonight. Jerry Seinfeld is back in Adelaide for the first time since 2017. The 70-year-old, who is Jewish, has publicly supported Israel, making him a target of pro-Palestinian protesters. There have been disruptions at several shows interstate. Adelaide Venue Management says it's liaising closely with the promoter to ensure a comprehensive level of security is provided. There are still limited tickets available.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
And Tom Wren, some bad news for the Power.
Yeah, not great, is it, Graham? Unfortunately, Charlie Dixon won't be available for selection until round 18. That's in the AFL. Now, that's because last night his 3-match ban for a bump on West Adelaide's Jordan White was upheld at the Sandford Tribunal. Let's go to tennis. Better news here. Jordan Thompson has joined Rinky Hijikata in the quarter-finals of the Queen's Club tournament. That's being played in London. Thompson advancing after his opponent, Andy Murray, retired after just 5 games because of a back issue. He says it's not how he wanted to win.
Could tell in the warm-up, I think, or at least from the first point, something was wrong when he was hitting serve. So, but it makes it tougher for me as well. Like, I feel like I've got a lot of pressure to hit the ball in the corner and make him move. So, yeah, but never the way you want to see it go. I mean, he's a great champion.
Hijikata recorded a hard-fought 7-6, 7-6 win against Italy's Matteo Arnaldi to progress to the final 8 of the tournament. While there's also good news for Ayla Tomljanovic at the Birmingham Classic, where she recorded a 3-set win to also move into the quarterfinals of that event. To cricket, South Africa's batters have hit form in their Super 8s clash against the USA as the Proteas recorded an 18-run win. That's kick-started their campaign nicely in the Super 8s. Quinton de Kock made 74 as his side reached 4 for 194 from their 20 overs, and that proved enough as they restricted the USA to 6 for 176. England will take on the West Indies a little later this morning. 3 games in the Euros overnight with Croatia and Albania playing out a 2-2 draw. Scotland and Switzerland also shared the points in a 1-1 draw, while Germany beat Hungary 2-0. And in some ice hockey to finish, the Edmonton Oilers have defeated the Florida Panthers 5-3 in Game 5 to keep the Stanley Cup Final Series alive. And that's the 5AA Sport.
And now checking 5AA traffic.
Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre and let them elevate your vision for your next event or function.
Morning there at Clemzig. Urgent sewer works have just popped up this morning. That's on IG Road near 4th Avenue. A little bit slow around there at the moment. It's getting busy at the moment. South Road at Glandore. Road plates in use there. Super bumpy. Speeds at 40. And slow for works at Salisbury East. Smith Road near Aquamarine Drive. Early morning cameras. Beaver Triangle Farm and FIVEAA Drive at Pasadena. Quitting smoking is hard, but so is heart disease, emphysema and mouth cancer. Choose your hard and choose to give up for good. Visit health.gov.au/give up for good. This message is brought to you by the Australian Government, Canberra. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
Showers today, heading for 15 degrees. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 16. Saturday, partly cloudy, 15. Then Sunday, partly cloudy, 16 degrees. Right now in town, it's 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In Adelaide and across South Australia, this is 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 7, good morning to you. If you're joining us for the first time on this cool Thursday morning. A little bit of rain on the way, not as much as perhaps we thought there might be in the last couple of days. Overnight, 7.6 mils in Adelaide. Around 5 maybe on the way today, but there's not going to be a heap. Outside of Adelaide, you might see some more. We've got Ryan Fitzgerald coming up shortly because you're not going to see Thursday night footy tonight, but he will have your footy tips covered for the weekend ahead.
What's the AFL thinking getting rid of it?
It's weird. They did it last year too, the second. Yeah.
They cotton onto something that is universally adored by people. What's their obsession with chopping and changing everything all the time?
Well, ironically, the chopping and changing is about trying to maximise the TV audiences when they don't release the second half of the draw.
But don't they get more viewers with the Thursday night?
Yeah,
game?
that's why I say ironically, Thursday night gets chopped in the process, which is totally peculiar. I don't know. I think you're right. It's almost universally loved.
Hmm.
It's so close to being.
What would you rather have, like another Sunday game?
Yeah.
When you're doing other stuff?
Yeah, exactly. But we'll talk tips with Fitzy, then Matt Abraham. A lot of spin to talk about, and I suspect a lot of it will have to do with yesterday's massive nuclear policy. Whether you like it or not, it was a huge conversation starter. It's a massive vision for the country. Again, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, the response to it, both in favour and against, echoes that, I think, and that's coming through on the Duttons text line this morning.
Yep, we are getting divergent views. We've got quite a lot of people who are very much signed up pro-nuclear, and it does feel like with the work that Kevin Scarce, our former governor, did with the Royal Commission into the nuclear fuel cycle, that public opinion here is, I would suggest, probably more amenable to the idea. Having said that, there's still a lot of doubters, and a lot of them do go to the cost, which is the one key criticism that our Premier, Peter Malinauskas, has been making for a long time now of nuclear power, saying if the science says it's a goer, then let's do it, but it's got to stack up financially. Anthony from Evandale says, "G'day Pembo and Will, we're close to someone working in the Energy Department in Treasury who has reviewed the different modes of electricity generation, and he regularly tells us that nuclear power is much more expensive than renewables and would not decrease the cost of electricity." Thanks for that, Anthony. George says, The anti-nuclear stance by Victorian Labor is understandable, given it's a high-density, small area with a growing population in regional areas too. And Peter says, a nuclear power plan that will take 15 to 20 years. What plan does the coalition have for the interim period? Unreliable coal stations, an incomplete Snowy 2.0, half-built wind farms and transmission lines. Thanks for that, Peter. And as I said, though, there's a whole stack of people who are saying that everybody should be much more open-minded. Trevor questions the politics of it, though. He says, guys, I don't understand why the coalition will propose this nuclear plan, as surely it will never get up, as Labor, the Greens and even most independents will never agree to support it, not to mention all the Labor states will find reasons to stop it from going ahead. That's very hard political sell.
Yeah, that might be right, but I reckon that'd be a sad state of affairs if politically in Australia people stopped championing what they believe in because it was just simply too hard.
I'll tell you what, there's a long history of this being put in the too hard basket going all the way back to
Gorton.
John Gorton in the late 60s. And then, from memory, John Howard, didn't he get the former Telstra boss, Ziggy Swatowski, to do a report on it?
He did a report.
Yeah. Tell you what, the growth industry doing reports in a nuclear power that lead to nothing.
And it might end up, it doesn't add up dollars and cents. The scaremongering is idiotic. And the other thing...
Does my current AGL bill add up?
No. I mean...
And also, as good as it is getting solar and batteries, for the average punter, the cost is still... The upfront cost of doing that is vast if you've got a big family.
Mm.
Like, most people don't have, 40 grand in their bank to do that. So I know you get the money back, but a lot of people have to swallow hard and go, crikey. Like, that's where we are right now. There's still huge upfront costs. And Origin, we got texts about this yesterday. They're reducing the amount you get back for putting solar energy into the system. So,
The other criticism that I find really daft is this, especially given the political context right now, is this idea that this is going to take 10 to 15 years and cost billions of dollars from the same people that have signed up to an AUKUS deal that's going to cost $368 billion and not deliver a single submarine until the early 2040s.
Well, that's the funniest part of it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We can't. This is going to be so far in the future. Look at all the money. Yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Osborne.
The federal opposition leader, Peter Dutton, is actually speaking whilst we're talking about this. Let's have a bit of a listen in.
So, experts will speculate, and indeed have done so already this morning, $20 billion per reactor. That's including ongoing maintenance, is the estimated price. Total bill of $140 billion from the Australian Conservation Foundation this morning. Could that be right, Peter?
Oh, look, why not just, quote Bob Brown or Chris Bowen? There are lots of crazy people out there in this debate. I just want to stick to the facts. And let's have a mature discussion about it. Of the top 20 economies in the world, Australia is the only one that doesn't have nuclear. Where nuclear is present, we know that electricity is much cheaper and it's reliable. Under this government over the last 2 years, there's been a threefold increase in the number of manufacturing firms who have closed because of unreliable energy and a market in which they just can't operate.
Well, it's a conversation that's going to be ongoing from now until the election. Huge debate. Ian in Morpeth Vale's called in on 8223 0000. Morning, Ian.
Yes, g'day guys. Well, just up front, I am pro-nuclear, so I'll put that out there. I'm all for it and everything. But when we're talking about the economics of it, sure, we need to know how much it's all going to cost us. But I know how much my power bills have cost us in the last 10 years using renewables. And can you in there or anyone actually tell me how much the bill for renewables is going to cost us at the end of all of this? Like, we're all focusing on the costs of everything. Well, they never actually tell us the costs of renewables either. Nobody knows how much it is, do they?
Oh, it's hugely expensive. The entire industry's been subsidised. That's why you saw press releases released at warp speed yesterday from all the renewable energy industry groups. Because they foresaw a future with reduced subsidy.
Yeah, correct. And this is it. It's people with vested commercial interests, either wanting to maintain profits or not wanting to have to change their way of operating, which itself costs money because you need to rethink things. There's a lot of laziness in corporate Australia. And something that, if people actually think about it, but how is it that so many other countries can do it and make money and save money? We apparently can't.
Bill Gates, private individual, wants to build 100 nuclear power plants in the United States.
there's a lot of bludgers in corporate Australia. Seriously, I reckon Dutton should have a crack at them because, you know, these are the same people who've spent most of the last sort of 18 months offending their shareholders and open-minded people who've cherished the privacy of their vote about how we should suck eggs in a national referendum. Now they're saying it's all too hard. I thought these people were going to be the allies of the Liberal Party.
Yeah. 16 after 7. Let us know your thoughts, folks. Keep them coming in, 8223 0000. We need a bit of a laugh this morning as well. 2 news items that I think will achieve precisely that. First being Jerry Seinfeld in town.
I'm sorry, we have no midsize available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservations.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
Here we go.
Classic exchange in the program Seinfeld tonight, 7:30 at the Entertainment Centre. You can still get tickets. There's some tickets available from $225 up to $490 available. So if you want to make a last-minute decision to get along and see Jerry Seinfeld, you got a few $100 knocking around in your skyrocket. You can go along and see him tonight.
To add a depressing dimension to that, security's been beefed up for it on account of the theatrics we've seen elsewhere in Australia. Rob texted in saying, a Jewish comedian needs increased security to appear on stage in Adelaide, and that's not a joke, folks. It's depressing, isn't it?
It's sad. It's really sad.
Another great Jewish comedian, probably the greatest Jewish comedian, probably arguably the greatest comedian who ever lived, Groucho Marx. One of the funniest skewerings of anti-Semitism and more broadly racism in general. When Marx became a huge success, he moved his family to Beverly Hills, and he tried to enroll his daughter at the local swimming pool, and he got a letter back from saying, sorry, no Jews are allowed to join the swimming pool here in Beverly Hills. And he wrote a letter back to them saying, well, she's actually only half Jewish, so maybe she could go in up to her waist.
It's just disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Australia's looking like that again at the moment. You raised an interesting point. You mentioned Groucho Marx, perhaps the greatest comedian of all time. Who's the best comedian you've ever seen or your favourite? We've got tickets to give away.
Wow,
Bruce Abernathy dropped these in. He kindly just rolled up. He's a new ambassador for the Adelaide Wine Festival that's taking place at the Central Market. It's on this Sunday, June 11, 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. What a way to spend an afternoon in the middle of winter. 53 different winemakers from around South Australia there. You can get tickets at the door or online at adelaidewinefestival.com.au. $33 to get in. You get in and they'll give you a glass that you can go in and fill up and over again.
Well, that sounds like a good glass.
How does that sound? Music and food there. Great afternoon. We've got 3 doubles to give away. First 3 people that call in and tell us their favourite comedian of all time win. 8223 0000. 3 doubles to the Adelaide Wine Festival that's taking place this weekend. Get calling now. 8223 0000. This man is not eligible, albeit perhaps should be.
But you just assured me that I could speak.
Sit down inside the car. We're not assuring anything. We're under arrest.
Look, I'm under what? Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
Get some cups.
Why did you do this to me?
Hop in the car. Get some cups.
For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock, sir. Oh, yes. I see that you know your judo well. Good one. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis? How dare get your hands off there. Ta-ta and farewell.
It's Australia's most famous, infamous arrest, that of Jack Carlson on the 11th of October 1991. It's now the subject, given its infamy and fame, globally, because it's become such an internet sensation, that video, of a new documentary called The Man Who Ate a Succulent Chinese Meal. It's going to be released early next year.
Hang on, isn't his name Charles Dosa?
No, it's Jack Carlson. It's actually a case of mistaken identity. A lot of people thought...
I thought he was that Hungarian chess champion.
No, his name is Jack Carlson. He was he was accused of credit card fraud.
Well, the other thing, so for those of you who've never seen it, and you've got to see it, it's on YouTube, and I think it's described on YouTube as the magnificent arrest of Charles Dosa. But there was a brief item in the Telegraph when he died. He was known as the restaurant runner because he'd rock up at restaurants in Sydney and he would just sit there ordering the whole menu and then he'd just walk out.
Well, sort of. This guy was arrested because he used falsified credit cards to pay for restaurant meals.
Oh, so it's become a bit apocryphal.
Yeah, he used dodgy made-up credit cards to pay for meals. They had a reunion yesterday. And the police officer at the very Brisbane restaurant that it took place at. Well,
so is he still alive?
Yeah, Jack Carlson. He's alive. He's part of the documentary. He's 81 years of age. Yeah.
I thought, well, where's the whole story about him dying? This is like the Rodriguez story.
Yeah, it is
crazy.
So he is dying. He's got cancer. He's not in a good way. He got arrested there on that day, and he and the police officer have had a reunion, and now they're both the subject of this documentary.
Oh wow, that'd be awesome.
And they've kind of, over the course of the journey, they've got on like a house on fire these days. He's admitted that he didn't touch him inappropriately. He might have made that up in the moment for the theatrics of it. But Jack Carlson says he did go on to say, we had a news reporter on 7 last night. He said in the story that when asked about the fame of the video now globally known as, look at this great Australian arrest and this guy that's protesting in this very eloquent way, he just says it would have been all the better if he managed to make a quid out of it somehow, because it's been known around the world and he hasn't received a cent for it. So the man who ate a succulent Chinese meal coming to a cinema near you next year.
It's entered the vernacular, like often with mates, so we should catch up. Why don't we go out for a succulent Chinese meal?
Eating a meal, a succulent Chinese meal.
All right, let's get some entries of greatest comic acts, comedians of all time, and send some people off to the wonderful Adelaide Wine Festival this weekend at the Central Market. Greg in Sandy Creek, good morning.
Good morning.
What's yours, Greg?
Yeah, the one I reckon's really a crack up is Ricky Gervais. I just love the way he pushes the boundaries and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think he's my favourite at the moment too. Thank you, Greg. And Nadia in Henley Beach, good morning.
Hello.
Who's yours, Nadia?
Lucille Ball.
Oh, good choice.
I think she's such a funny lady.
Yeah.
We play a tribute to Lucille Ball twice a week on the program during Lucy's Movie Bowl. We play the I Love Lucy theme. Mark in Para Hills, good morning.
Good morning, boys. The funniest bloke I ever saw was Dave Allen.
Oh, did you see Dave Allen?
Yeah, he was Her Majesty's, would have been late 80s, early 90s at Her Majesty's, and I honestly had tears rolling down my eyes and felt like my ribs had cracked.
Good on you, Mark.
Dave Allen.
You two are off to the Adelaide Wine Festival, June 23, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Double passes. Otherwise, if you try to get through, you can get tickets adelaidewinefestival.com.au. Let's check traffic. Fitzy in a moment. Thanks to Louver House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. At Clemzig, urgent sewer works on OG Road near 4th Avenue. Parafield, small bingle on Kings Road near Main North Road. Slow going at the moment, South Road at Glandore. Road plates in use there, speeds at 40. And getting busy South Road at Theberton. Adelaide Terrace, Edwardstown, and Ballou Street at Ingle Farm. Where can you find international eats and South Australian treats? Only at the markets, open Tuesday till Saturday, with over 70 traders under one roof. AdelaideCentralMarket.com. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
The closure of the accreditation office at Mile End and the services that it offered to all drivers of heavy vehicles and rideshare vehicles farmed out the services SA. Brian at O'Sullivan's Beach, good morning.
I drive a chauffeured car.
Yeah.
I went to Deepest. Have a guess how long you had to wait.
How long?
Matthew Pantelis.
1 hour.
Oh, gee. There's your 12 minutes, John Whelan.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
It truly is a win-win. 2 grand prize homes, 2 grand prize winners. The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery has doubled the dream with 2 life-changing grand prizes in Henley Beach. Both are mortgage-free, fully furnished and built by Scott Salisbury Homes. With over 11,000 draws, you've got a 1 in 15 chance to win. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. Get your tickets at homelottery.com.au. Licence M14548.
They say that confidence comes from within, but sometimes it comes from a well-fitted suit. It changes the way you walk, the way you feel. Put a good suit on and you can pull anything off. It opens doors and closes deals. And with only a short introduction, you leave a lasting impression. Right now, confidence is on sale at Peter Shearer. Visit your nearest Peter Shearer store and be fitted with confidence.
Now, electric vehicles are great, and if you own one or you're thinking about buying one, it's a good move. What's not so great, however, is when you run out of charge, driving around town or the suburbs, praying that you can find a charge station that's not already in use before you run out of juice.
That's why it's best to get in touch with BC EV Chargers. Fully qualified electricians, BC EV Chargers specialise in all makes of electric vehicle charging systems. And because no 2 systems are the same, they're happy to discuss the best system for your situation. In fact, they're certified experts in the field of electric vehicle charging, working with big brands like RAA and ChargeFox.
So if you drive an electric vehicle, the message is simple. Charge at home and you're free to roam with BC EV Chargers. Visit bcevchargers.com.au.
Don't miss your chance to grab a run-out deal at Formula Honda. Enjoy run-out prices on the Honda HR-V while stocks last. An effortlessly stylish, next-generation hybrid with intuitive safety technology from just $43,900. Plus, score a deal on the iconic Honda Accord with a 7-year warranty, 7 years roadside assist and 5 standard low-price services. Run into Formula Honda while the run-out deals last. Glen Osmond Road, Glen Osmond or North East Road, Modbury.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Well, it's that time of the week when our mind turns to our footy tips, and for that we have a guru who I can only imagine, commiserations to you, Fitzy. Next year I'm sure you're getting the call from the AFL Hall of Fame. It can only be a clerical oversight, maybe not enough time's passed, but I know, my friend, that call is coming. Good morning to you.
But isn't it great? I mean, Bone McDermott, Chris McDermott, I wore the number 10 as a junior because of that man.
He's a legend.
Wasn't he just one of the most courageous footballers you've ever seen in your life? And then to go on to raise so much money for the McGuinness-McDermott Foundation, and he's a great man, Bone, so congratulations to him. The other one that I've met is Uncle Flash Graham, Michael Graham as well, and met a few times and been up to Darwin and had a few beers with Flash, but, wasn't it a great night? Geez, there's some legends going into there. To see Jason Dunstall as well, it was just brilliant.
Actually, as a young key forward yourself growing up, Fitzy, who was Chief would have been around the time you were playing juniors. Who did you like? Who was your favourite big tall forward?
I loved Plugger. Everybody loved Plugger. But the way that, I mean, Chief for his size and the amount of goals that he kicked, and you don't realise how accurate he was. Like, we talk about accuracy these days in the AFL and how many of these footballers miss shots, but he was just so accurate. And he just... I know everyone gets stuck into him about the size of his gluteus maximus, but he would just he would stick it out and no one could get near the ball. So he was one of the best forwards ever.
What about his hair as well, Fitzy? And what about the greatest ever mullet grand final head-to-head, 1989, Geelong v Hawthorn, Dipper, Spiro Malakellus with the flowing locks for the
Gary
Cats.
Gary Ayres.
Gary Ayres was wearing what looked like a Roman helmet made out of human hair.
Buddha Hocking had a permed mullet, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It was just...
That was the high watermark.
It was so many...
And Dermy.
Yes, and Dermy, of course, Dermy as well. Well, who was it? Mark Yates tried to take Dermy's permed mullet off his head there and was successful for a bit until Dermy came back on and kicked a few goals to win the game for Hawthorn.
What a game that is. It's still just the high watermark, isn't it? Hey, mate, we'll rip into the tips. Starting on tomorrow night, if I can ever get my damn phone to work. Carlton play the Cats.
Oh, this is going to be a great game. I think the Blues are playing really good footy at the moment, so I'm going to go Carlton to win that at the MCG.
Now, Koshy spoke to us yesterday and said Port have got a lift. Do you reckon they're going to at home against the Lions?
Well, they have to at home. I mean, it's interesting. Have they worked out, putting someone on Zach Butters now? Is that the key? Does that change things up? Charlie Dixon will be out, so they won't have that forward. I think they will win at home. I'm actually going to pick Port Adelaide to beat the Lions.
This is going to be great. The Sydney Derby.
Oh, I'm going an upset here. I think Sydney are due to lose, and I know that they've been starting very slowly, so I think the Giants might get a jump on them and they won't be able to chase them home.
Melbourne v the Roos.
Melbourne will win that convincingly.
Then same again, Essendon and West Coast.
This will be a good game, but I think the Bombers will get up against West Coast in Melbourne.
And then with the bye round, only one more game, Freo and the Suns.
Yeah, over at Optus Stadium, I've got to go the Dockers to knock off the Suns.
Good on you, Fitzy. Hopefully you get the call up next year, mate. We'll chat again next week.
Good on you, boys. Speak to you then.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Showers with a top of 15 today. With the 7:30 news, I'm Graham Goodings.
Physio Extra for Locomat robotic technology treating stroke, cerebral palsy, brain and spinal cord injuries. Visit physioextra.com.
Aldi is the cheapest supermarket for Australian shoppers. Monitoring from Consumer Group Choice shows the average basket at Aldi costs $52. Coles and Woolworths are $17 more expensive, with just a 1% difference between the two. Green Senator Nick McKim says it's concerning prices are so similar at the two major supermarkets.
I have no doubt the reason that Coles and Woolworths prices are effectively the same is because they cross-check prices with the other supermarket giant. What that shows is that Coles and Woolworths might have separate brands, but they're effectively one great big supermarket corporation.
South Australia is presenting its green energy credentials on the world stage at a forum in Adelaide today. Leaders of the world's biggest mining, steel and energy companies are here for a major forum of companies interested in investing in South Australia, our green iron and steel future. The state government will unveil its green iron and steel strategy, focusing on a new hydrogen-based green iron plant in SA by 2030 or earlier. The debate has begun after the opposition revealed plans for 2 nuclear power stations to be up and running by the mid-2030s under a coalition-led government. Peter Dutton has unveiled a plan to build 7 facilities in all on the sites of former coal power plants across the country. Aidan Morrison from the Centre for Independent Studies says nuclear produces energy no matter what the weather conditions are.
It's actually got a lower carbon footprint as well than most renewables, particularly when you account for potential land clearing that might be involved for building, for example, large wind farms up and down the Great Dividing Range. So very, very good for the environment, but being able to have energy on demand is excellent economically.
Federal police and autism experts are joining forces to reduce the number of young people being radicalised by extremists. Gabriel Hodson has more.
The AFP is working with Aspect, Australia's peak autism spectrum body, to work out how and why neurodivergent youth are at risk of being targeted by violent extremist groups online. News Corp is reporting that terrorists are casting a wide net, moving onto social media platforms such as X, YouTube and gaming spaces, using softer messaging. Experts say young people on the spectrum spend longer online because they're often uncomfortable interacting face-to-face. Once hooked on an idea, they're also more likely to become fixated by it. One expert gave the example of a teen they were dealing with who was fascinated with planes that led him to watch the 9/11 Twin Towers disaster over and over.
A servo was robbed at Seaview Downs last night. A man with a knife threatened a staff member at the Seacombe Road servo before stealing cash and cigarettes. He fled on foot towards Davenport Terrace. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
And good morning once again, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Graham. It is selection night for the sides for round 15 in the AFL, with Port Adelaide set to name its team ahead of Saturday's clash. That's at home against Brisbane. Vice-captain Zach Butters is set to come in, but forward Charlie Dixon won't be there after he was unsuccessful in overturning a 3-week ban for a head clash with West Adelaide's Jordan White. Meantime, newly inducted Hall of Famer Dane Swan has suggested VFA icons should also be eligible for Hall of Fame consideration. His own father, Billy Swan, played 302 games with Port Melbourne and Williamstown during the 80s and early 90s. Swan telling Wide World of Sports other State League players are eligible.
If they can put people in from the Waffle or the Sample, which is completely justifiable too, and so they should, I can't see why at some stage they can't start letting people from the VFA, and I think it would be great and add some more colour, some wonderful identities and players that played in the VFA.
To soccer, Croatia's Euro campaign is hanging by a thread after only managing a 2-2 draw against Albania this morning. Croatia led 2-1 but were left shattered with Albania equalising in the 95th minute.
They've equalised! Yasula, who put the ball in his own net to give Croatia the advantage, has struck now for Albania at the right end.
Audio there thanks to Optus, and there were two other games overnight. Germany locking in its progression to the knockout stages with a 2-0 win against Hungary, while Scotland and Switzerland drew 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre and let them elevate your vision for your next event or function.
At Clemsig Urgent Sewer Works on OG Road near 4th Avenue, Parafield, a small bingle on Kings Road near Main North Road. Highbury has works which are slow. Lower North East Road near Perseverance Road speeds at 40 and getting busy. South Road at Glendale for roadworks speeds at 40 there. Cameras Clearville Road, Campbelltown and Darley Road at Paradise. The Amart end of financial year sale is on now. Get up to 60% off a huge range, including lounges, dining, bedroom and mattresses. Stores are open late tonight, so hurry into Amart. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
15 with showers today, tomorrow partly cloudy 16, Saturday 15 and partly cloudy, Sunday partly cloudy 16. Currently in town it's 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Join the great cover-up and get a Walco Guardian pool cover. Made right here in SA, a Walco Guardian pool cover will preserve your chemicals, keep your water clean, and you won't need to run your pump. Put your pool to bed for winter. Visit walco.com.au.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Barossa and Clare has always been well worth the trip, especially with their end of financial year sale on over 500 new, used and demo cars, including over 50 new and demo Mazda CX-3, CX-5 and the best deals on BT50 in SA. Plus, they're offering an additional $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Head to Barossa Mazda in Uriutpa or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
If you're thinking of building or you're renovating your kitchen, you've got a lot of choices to make, but the first choice should be Smeg. We have an amazing Smeg showroom right here in Adelaide. Deputy Distributors, they're in Dudley Park, and inside you'll find the full Smeg range on display.
Don't need to tell us that. We've both been there. It's amazing. Everything from ovens, cooktops, dishwashers and fridges to wine cellars, kettles, toasters and more. Smeg seamlessly pair powerful performance with architectural design. Now there's even cooking demonstrations. They're fantastic. They teach you how to get the best out of your Smeg oven. Smeg has also been proudly made in Italy since 1948 and their colour design and technology is world famous.
Smeg technology with style. Visit the Smeg showroom today at Debney Distributors, Harrison Road, Dudley Park.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industry sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industry sale. On now.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
9 out of 10, every time.
Matthew Abraham on 5AA Breakfast.
Positively glowing, and that's not just because he wants to talk about nuclear energy. Matt Abraham in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Morning here, Matt.
Morning, Will. Good morning, David. Yes, I'm radiant.
You going nuclear?
Well, we are, apparently. Port Augusta.
Yeah.
Good idea, actually, isn't it? Well, no. What strikes me as very interesting about Peter Dutton, there's a couple of interesting things. First of all, he was unelectable. That was 3 years ago. The latest Fin Review, I think Freshwater poll that's come out has shown him in the space of about a year, in their qualitative polling and where they don't just say how you're going to vote Labor or Liberal, but they ask how you're going to, what do you think of this issue, what do you think of that issue. He's leading, there's been like this total switcheroo with Anthony Albanese, and he's leading him on all the key metrics in there. I think the only group where Anthony Albanese commands a lead is in 18 to 34-year-olds. But in every other group and in every other income level, including sort of the tradie belt, Dutton's ahead quite comfortably. The polls have the Liberal National Party coalition and Labor pretty neck and neck. If you do an average of all the polls, it's about 51-49.
Labor's way.
Labor's way, yeah. So, you know, some are a little bit better for Labor, some are a little bit better for the coalition. But averaging them out, it looks like they're around 51.
Do you think the idea that not anyone, but do you think the idea in federal politics that someone can be, oh no, he's unelectable. Didn't Labor spend a long time saying that about Tony Abbott?
Yeah. Look, I don't think they're saying that anymore about Peter Dutton, because what the nuclear policy does, okay, this is another one, this is going to kill him off, you know. So you've got the Green lobby coming out, a massively subsidised Green lobby, complaining about the subsidies that would be needed for nuclear power. What it does, to me, is it pivots the debate toward Peter Dutton. So everyone's talking about Peter Dutton's policies. They're not talking about Anthony Albanese's policies. It's all about Peter Dutton. Now, you might say, well, it's a massive negative, nuclear. But what he's saying is, well, this is our way of getting zero emission, meeting our zero emission targets, carbon targets, because putting aside the small problem of nuclear waste, it is a green energy, doesn't use, it doesn't consume carbon, it's effectively emission free, and you'll get cheaper power. So it's pivoting the policy debate around the cost of power. And it's very hard to mount an argument that green energy is cheap if you've experienced it. We in South Australia have the largest percentage of green energy in Australia, and we have the highest power prices in Australia. And they're directly linked. There's no argument about that. Those two factors are directly linked. Some people say, no, they're not. Well, they are. That's a fact. And we have some of the highest power prices in South Australia in the world, depending on when the wind's blowing and when the sun's shining. So it'd be very hard to mount an argument in South Australia that a transition to green energy delivers cheaper electricity.
Do you think, Matt, I was reading some of the comments from that Australian Energy Forum that was hosted yesterday, where they had all the CEOs of like all the big energy companies. Now, to your point, a lot of them have got massive vested interest, but a lot of them also said, we're not really against nuclear power, but the problem is that by the time this plan gets up and running, storage, both generation and storage via renewables will have improved so much that the nuclear reactors might start pumping out juice at a time when we actually don't need it anymore.
Well, maybe an argument in that, But there may be an argument in that. But
I always find it funny that the proponents of renewables only future only see one form of the technology advancing. It's the only one where there's advancement.
And it's theirs.
Nuclear power, apparently, to the people who are critical of it, hasn't advanced at all since 1955. But there's been huge developments. And that argument, look, I haven't sat down with a napkin and done the sums. All you can do is look around the world, though, and say, well, they must be having the same conversations about the potential of the advancements in renewable technology and whether that means the business case against nuclear is strong or weak. And we're seeing in so many like countries, them to make the decision, countries that have previously gone away from nuclear too, like Germany and places, well, you know what, it needs to be part of the mix. We spoke about Bill Gates of the United States yesterday. It just does seem curious why we're the only place that seems to not be able to make the numbers stack up.
Yeah. The people who really matter in this, Matt, aren't the people who were at the Australian Energy Forum yesterday, though. It's people listening to 5AA, it's people living in Port Augusta. Do you feel like SA is more amenable to it because of the work that's been done by Jay Weatherall, by Kevin Scarce? Do you think, and the fact that we're front and centre for AUKUS, we know we're going to have nuclear waste storage. We know that SA is probably going to be the state with Commonwealth land at Woomera. Do you think it's an easier sell in SA?
Well, it should be. I don't know about seats like Boothby and interstate, the so-called teal seats.
Sturt.
Seat like Sturt. That it could be a problem there for the coalition, because it's easy. I saw somebody put up one of those the triangle yellow radioactive signs saying, well, these will be up at every polling booth, around the nation. Well, yeah, they might be, but they're also up in most hospitals around the nation. You walk past little doors that have got the nuclear radiation symbol on it. If you're having any serious testing done,
Do you remember that? You remember that leaflet drop that happened in Adelaide? And I'm just trying to replace. I remember seeing it. I can't remember when it was, but it was about nuclear waste in the early 2000s. And it was a dot. It was an aerial view of the CBD of Adelaide with a dot at every place that was storing nuclear waste.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what point
you can't
we
go
were
down
in the
to
debate then, but
can't go down to the basement without tripping over the stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. And look,
the waste storage part of it's so stupid. Like hearing Labor go, "Oh, there's nothing in there about waste storage." Haven't they even read the AUKUS deal? Like the AUKUS deal says that by 2045 we have to have the highest level nuclear waste storage facility set up, ready to go in Australia. So we've got to do it anyway. So why not do it 10 years earlier?
It's part of the deal. These are the discussions that are going to take place. So Jay Weatherall, we know, former Labor Premier, before Stephen Marshall, had our massively expensive Royal Commission into nuclear power, which in a lot of the reforms that were suggested from it end up getting torpedoed by, he made a big mistake of having a people's forum associated with it, and they didn't like it, so we kissed goodbye to that.
And the Libs killed it too.
Yeah, so he was pro-nuclear. Peter Malinowskis only a few weeks ago said we have to have a sensible conversation about nuclear energy. Now, he wasn't ruling it out back then. He said, Australia needs to actually have a sensible conversation. We need to have a proper policy debate. Well, on the first day of that policy debate, he shoots it down saying it's too expensive in South Australia. That was, I think that was yesterday. So it is an interesting policy direction to have, and I don't know why opposition leader David Spears felt the need to include that in his budget and reply speech. Maybe he had the heads up from Peter Dutton on it, and Peter Dutton's expecting him to step up to the plate. But I don't know if Peter Dutton would really want David Spears as his main salesman in South Australia for a nuclear-powered future.
Part of the irony is that Spears is one of the people who helped junk the Kevin Scarce report as part of the Liberals. They were all against it then because they wanted to win the seat of Adelaide. Politics is just so pathetic at times, isn't it?
Now he wants to have his own another Royal Commission into it. It was this week when David Spears came back from his holiday in Scotland, which I think he then went to the UK, elsewhere in the UK, and looked at the AUKUS submarines, and we saw a press release, a densely written press release, come out about that. But you said off air last week, David, I know you always get a little bit nervous when I mention these things, but this one's quite repeatable.
Say a lot of stuff off air.
But we were talking about the budget lock-up and how boring it is. Is it boring or whatever? But it is also it is important. The state budget's important because it sort of frames a year, the words you used. And David Spears wasn't here for that. Now, I don't know if he's read the entire budget or, all of it, or whether Matt Cowdery, his shadow treasurer, just knocked up a statement for him. But his budget and reply speech and the press release that came out of it was all over the place. It looked like the sort of essay you knock up when you've been on holidays and come back and have to do it before the night before it's due. It wasn't a good look. So in it, he said, well, cost of living is a big issue for South Australians. And when I saw the headline, I thought, finally, like the penny has dropped. Yes, ramping is an issue, but you can't keep banging on about ramping for the next 2 years of the election. We know that in all the polling, cost of living has now overtaken climate change as a major issue confronting both parties. And so here's David Spears saying cost of living, since 2022, it's cost you an extra $20,000 as a South Australian household. I thought, that's good. And his solution is we're going to have cheaper electricity through nuclear power, and we're going to get rid of the GP tax. And I thought, okay, what? That's it. And somehow we're going to reduce debt without reducing services. It wasn't a good look.
Stephen Gawler's called in to have a chat with you, Matt. Morning to you, Steve.
Hey, you guys are right. Look, I think it's a good idea to bring nuclear in, but what worries me with these renewables is in 15, 20 years' time when you've got to replace them, guess what the power companies are going to say? Oh, we need to put your power bills up to help pay for a new one.
Yeah.
Can't you see that coming?
Yeah, well, based on past performance, absolutely, Steve.
Good on you,
Good
Steve.
point.
Thank you. Lots of texts coming through on this as well. We might take a quick break. We'll come back with more from Matt and dissect the spin of the week in just a moment. Traffic, thanks to Louver House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. At Clemzig, urgent civil works on OG Road near 4th Avenue. Parafield, small bingle there this morning. Kings Road near Main North Road. Bit slow for works at Coromandel Valley, Main Road near Black Road, and super sluggish at the moment South Road at Glandore. Road plates in use, their speeds at 40. Cameras below Serentingle Farm and Darley Road at Paradise. From school drop-off to the beach, everywhere is an adventure with the 7-seat Isuzu MUX. Visit your local Isuzu ute dealer today to discover the range. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Whether you're moving house, moving materials or moving people, calling Budget Car and Truck Rental is always your best move. Our huge range of vehicles make any move smooth, with trucks, vans, cars, utes, hybrids, 12 to 25-seater buses and more. Find your nearest Budget in the Adelaide CBD, Salisbury, Clemzig, Wingfield, Mailstone, Morfett Vale or the airport. Budget Car and Truck Rental. Get to the good stuff. Call 13 27 27 or visit budget.com.au.
Ignition for Men, Adelaide's home of luxury menswear, offer an impeccable range of suits by leading Italian brands, including the unparalleled quality and style of Armani, Canali, Zegna, and more. Ignition for Men. What you wear speaks volumes about who you are and where you're going in the world. Make your mark with Ignition for Men. 54 Paynham Road, Stepney. Ignition for Men. ignitionformen.com.au.
Thank goodness for appliances, those magic machines that churn through chores without a complaint so we can spend more of our life enjoying life.
Some people still waste hours umming and ahhing over which appliance is right for them, but even that is made easy thanks to the legends at Adelaide Appliance Gallery.
We love Adelaide Appliance Gallery. It's your best destination for the best appliances, the best advice and the best deals on SMEG. And right now you can save up to 15% on their excellent range of Portofino cookers and hoods.
Just another way Adelaide Appliance Gallery helps make your life easier. Hurry into Adelaide Appliance Gallery at 155 Paynham Road, St Peters, or visit adelaideappliancegallery.com.au.
Tucker Carlson has interviewed Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Argentinian President Javier Milei and Robert Kennedy Jr. Come and see Tucker Carlson this Sunday. Go to Ticketek now and secure your tickets today.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
7 to 8, we might get to do some live spin in a moment. Matt Abraham's in the studio with us. Peter Malinauskas talking live on Sky News about the nuclear plan, which is what Graham in Craigmore wants to discuss as well with you, Matt. Morning to you, Graham.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Listen, it doesn't matter how long we bang on about renewables, because it doesn't matter how much of it you produce, you will never ever get it to line up with nuclear. And if we are expecting to try and run the country or the world on renewables, never going to happen. We need to go to nuclear, and you can run as many electric cars as you want ad infinitum for the rest of eternity, and you'll be okay. And I think that our government around the country need to stop having meetings about this, meetings about that. And, oh, yes, we'll have a meeting about this. They need to pull up their pants, do their belts up, and print some more money. If China can print money, so can we.
Yeah, I'm not sure money printing is the answer.
They tried that in the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, flow-on effects of that.
Get to take your salary home in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yep. Wants us to
Good on you though, Graham.
Pull up the big boy's pants and get stuck into it.
Here's the Premier speaking on Sky News whilst we were having a chat with Graham.
Well, I think what makes my position a little bit different, Peter, is I'm not worried about nuclear power's safety, and I certainly don't subscribe to some of the not in my backyard arguments you see against nuclear power. My concern is exclusively around cost. What we know from all the independent research that is out there is that nuclear power, in the context of the Australian energy market, is actually going to drive up prices rather than drive them down. So on that basis, I've got some grave reservations. Now, yesterday, the Leader of the Opposition, federally, announced what is a very substantial policy. It's a bold policy. And, the first and most obvious question is how much is it going to cost? Now, there's something that's really important. This is a Conservative Leader of the Opposition who is saying he's going to engage in a state-owned intervention into what is now a market. So that there's a bit of a ideological question mark about how that sort of sits with Conservative ideology. But more than that, we've got a Conservative alternative Prime Minister saying they're going to have a state intervention, but he will not tell us how much it's going to cost. Now, there's only one or two things that is happening here, Peter. Either the Leader of the Opposition, either Peter Dutton knows how much it's going to cost and is refusing to tell us, or even more scary than that, he's announced a policy without even knowing how much it's going to cost at all. And I just think that raises a really sort of substantial question mark about whether or not this is the road that Australia should be going down.
That's the Premier speaking just a moment ago.
That's not necessarily negative for Peter Dutton, is it? He hasn't got any concerns. The South Australian Premier hasn't got any concerns about the safety of nuclear energy. That's what he said.
Well, the NIMBY element.
And that's right.
And he called it a bold vision.
It
almost sounds like a,
okay, so the costing. Well, we didn't see any costing on fixing ramping for the last election.
We're seeing it now. $7 billion.
Well, there's still no costing. We just keep chucking dough at it.
Don't you think the biggest flaw with what Mally just said, though, was to criticise Dutton for, his words were, a state-owned intervention into the energy market?
Well, Labor should be applauding that.
Why does that make it any different from the hydrogen project?
Well, exactly.
Is that one going to lower power bills? I'm not clear on that.
No,
a lot of people don't even know if it's going to work.
Yeah, that's intriguing. Should we do some other spin?
Yes, we must. I've been pondering lately. I know the Police Commissioner does a fantastic job. No one's going to dispute that. But whether he needs, we need an elected sheriff in South Australia.
Neat.
And what got me thinking about this was the Sheriff of Polk County, Grady Judd. Now, there's a bit of a thing going around, a bit of a meme, because his deputies killed a fugitive gunman who gunned down a police officer. Okay, so this gunman killed a cop, and they chased him down and found him hiding, and they killed him. They shot him 69 times.
That's comprehensive.
Exactly. And when he was asked, and there's a lot of reports about this in sort of reputable US newspapers, he was asked why they needed to shoot him that many times, and he said, well, that's all the bullets we had.
No.
Or we would have shot him more. Now, I can't find that grab, but I did find this grab about from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd.
But we have received information in social media that some of the criminals were going to take their criminal conduct into the neighborhoods. I would tell them, if you value your life, you probably shouldn't do that in Polk County, because the people of Polk County like guns. They have guns. I encourage them to own guns, and they're going to be in their homes tonight with their guns loaded. And if you try to break into their homes to steal, to set fires, I'm highly recommending they blow you back out of the house with their guns.
Well,
now,
bit of old West law enforcement.
Well, you see, it's a pretty clear law and order message from County Sheriff, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd.
Don't you reckon if you call Grady, you get given a banjo when you're born?
Anyway, look, I don't do this very often, but I think there's zero spin in that message to criminals from Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd.
9 out of 10, out of 10.
I'll tell you what, I won't be committing any crimes in Polk County, I can tell you. Thank you, Matt.
That was excellent, Matt.
Superb work. The conversation continues in Breaking at 8 coming up in just a moment. 5AA News first, back shortly.
It's all go at Adelaide's newest family-owned Hyundai dealer, Wayville Hyundai. This end of financial year, choose 3 years free scheduled servicing or $2,000 off in-stock vehicles. Change the way you Hyundai at Wayville Hyundai. Driven by Australian Motors. T's and C's apply.
The glass bottle is back.
FIVEAA Milk Company are proud to bring you milk in a glass bottle. Look for milk refill stations in your supermarket, purchase your own glass bottle, fill it, take it home, drink it, wash it, and bring it back to use again. No plastic, no waste. Just fresh FIVEAA milk in a glass bottle. It's like the good old days, but better. Look for milk refill stations in your local supermarket or visit fluoriomilkco.com.au.
In tough times, it's the simple things that make a big difference. Like $19 schnitzel days at the Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. We know the humble schnitty can't fix all our problems, but we do know it'll put a smile on your dial. $19 schnitty, Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at the Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and the Lighthouse Wharf. Making the world a better place, one schnitty at a time. Got to start somewhere. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
Up-to-the-minute news for South Australia. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Showers and 15 today with the 8 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Graham Goodings.
Hands you can trust and state-of-the-art facilities. Physio Extra, tailoring care for you. physioextra.com.
The federal opposition has made climate and energy policy a key battleground more than a year out from the next federal election. The coalition is promising to build 7 nuclear reactors on the sites of former coal power plants across the country if it wins. But Senior Labor Minister Penny Wong has told Today it's the wrong path to take.
This is a risky, expensive gamble that Peter Dutton's engaged in that won't give Australians the power they need at the prices that they want.
We're being told don't shop on autopilot, with prices at Aldi found to be 25% cheaper than the big 2 supermarkets. Choice has released its first quarterly report into supermarket pricing. Mystery shoppers were sent to find a basket of 14 comparable items at Coles, Woolworths and Aldi. Mary Rafferty from Choice says Aldi was noticeably cheaper.
Our basket cost us $51.51 on average, whereas the basket from Coles was the most expensive at $69.33, and the basket from Woolworths only slightly cheaper at $68.58.
The state government has launched a campaign aimed at taking pressure off our overstressed hospitals and emergency departments. The Emergency campaign on social media and billboards, television, radio and YouTube starts on Sunday. The ads encourage us to call Health Direct for care options if we're unsure whether it's actually an emergency. Smart technology and a smart police dog have foiled a drink driver's attempt to flee a crash at West Croydon. Just after midnight, police received an automated Telstra message that a crash had occurred on Croydon Avenue. When they arrived, they found crash damage to a tree and skid marks on the road, but no vehicle. A Holden Commodore was discovered on nearby Day Terrace with crash damage. Senior Constable David Backus says police dog Chaos was called in and found the occupants hiding behind a fence.
Police spoke to the 18-year-old and a 23-year-old man and established that the 18-year-old had been driving the crashed vehicle. So he was breath tested and he's returned a positive result of 0.107. So he was arrested and charged with drive without due care, fail to stop at the scene of a crash, drink driving and providing false information. He's lost his licence on the spot.
Efforts are being ramped up to end violence against women and children. A new database, coordinated through the Australian Bureau of Statistics, will track perpetrators of family, domestic and sexual violence and their interaction with the justice system. Rain is expected to ease today after good falls overnight. Simon Timpke from the Bureau.
Since 9 a.m. yesterday, we've recorded 7.6 millimetres, and generally across the Adelaide Plains, 3 to 8 millimetres, and about the hills, most places sort of picking up 10 to 20 millimetres, the wettest spot being Piccadilly, 28 millimetres, and Ashton had 21 millimetres.
Security will be stepped up at the entertainment centre tonight. Mel Usher says Jerry Seinfeld's national tour is attracting protesters.
A comedy legend will take to the stage at the Entertainment Centre tonight. Jerry Seinfeld is back in Adelaide for the first time since 2017. The 70-year-old, who is Jewish, has publicly supported Israel, making him a target of pro-Palestinian protesters. There have been disruptions at several shows interstate. Adelaide Venue Management says it's liaising closely with the promoter to ensure a comprehensive level of security is provided. There are still limited tickets available.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Port Adelaide has failed in its bid to have Charlie Dixon's 3-match suspension downgraded. Dixon fronted the Sandford Tribunal but will miss 3 matches, meaning he's not available for the AFL side until round 18. Meantime, the Crows will be back to work today following a few days off. They've got the bye this weekend and will return to action next weekend when they host GWS on the Saturday night. Speaking of the Giants, defender Sam Taylor has been ruled out indefinitely after suffering a ruptured testicle. Well, Novak Djokovic remains in a race to be fit and ready for Wimbledon and the Olympics after knee surgery just 10 days ago. Craig Gabriel reports from London.
Wimbledon is less than 2 weeks away and there's no indication as to what Novak Djokovic is doing. He started training following knee surgery when he tore the medial meniscus in his right knee. But the Serbian Olympic Committee has indicated that Djokovic will play the Olympics in Paris, with the tennis event being at Roland Garros where his knee injury occurred. Still, Djokovic has not confirmed that as yet. The feeling is that he won't be ready for Wimbledon, but that he will play the Olympics.
To cricket, South Africa has kick-started the T20 Super 8 stages with an 18-run win against the USA. England will take on the West Indies in a couple of hours' time. Australia takes on Bangladesh tomorrow morning, our time. And at the Euros, Germany is into the knockout stages following a 2-0 win against Hungary, while Croatia and Albania shared the points in a 2-2 draw. Scotland and Switzerland also drew 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
And now checking 5AA traffic.
Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre and let them elevate your vision for your next event or function.
Morning there, no great dramas this morning, which is good. Your Virgin Steelworks happening at the moment at Clemzig, OG Road near 4th Avenue. Also a small being good look out for at Parafield, Kings Road near Main North Road, but no great delays there. Bits luggage works Para Hills, Bridge Road near Beeford Road, and getting busy at Angle Park, South Road near Grange Junction Road. Cameras this morning, Darley Road, Paradise, and Grange Road at Lower Mitcham. The King Living Winter Sale is on now. Save up to 50% on selected Australian Design Award-winning furniture. Sale on now. Visit the King Living Keswick showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
Showers today and 15 degrees. Tomorrow partly cloudy 16. Saturday partly cloudy 15 and Sunday partly cloudy 16. Right now it's 9. More news as it happens on 5AA.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
It's Milton from Vidalis Garden Centre. After 64 years, Vidalis Garden Centre is closing its doors. With huge savings on all stock, now is the best time to come in and grab a bargain. Plants, pots, fertilisers and tools, gifts, homewares and outdoor furniture. It's all got to go. First in, best dressed. Vidalis Garden Centre's closing down sale. On now while stocks last. Main North Road, Gawler, opposite the racecourse.
Trumpets, please. The trumpets are sounding the final call for the Edwardstown Mazda end of financial year sale. Get our lowest ever drive-away offers, huge Mazda factory bonuses, plus an extra $2,000 trade-in bonus. And $1,000 in Edwardstown Mazda credit to spend however you'd like. The finale is fast approaching. Hurry, sale ends June 30.
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T&Cs apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
9 minutes after 8, breaking 8 coming up in just a moment.
Terry and Henley Beach had a crack at us, Will.
Oh, look good. No, let's do it. In the spirit of Bruce yesterday.
In the spirit of Bruce from the Barossa. G'day, Bruce, if you're listening.
We should invoke always the spirit of Bruce.
We love the spirit of Bruce. We embrace the spirit of Bruce.
This is not, we're not preaching from a pulpit.
No, we're here to agree to disagree.
That's right.
Terry, in relation to Matt Abraham's excoriating take on David Spear's budget in reply says, Will and Pembo had the opposition leader in the studio yesterday but didn't raise any of Matt's questions with him. Good on you, Terry. Must try harder.
Keep them coming in. 0448 08 13 95. Agree or disagree. We love them all. Drive away with an amazing finance rate of 1.9% on selected models. Dutton's Nissan, T's and C's apply. The $1 million average house in Adelaide is less than 12 months away. It seems inconceivable, but Dr. Nicola Powell from Domain has crunched the numbers. And when we spoke about it earlier in the week, it was their hard work that we were talking about on the back of. So we're going to drill into that a little bit.
It's even regional, I say. I was looking on realestate.com last night, not for any reason other than just, the way your mind wanders when you're online. Smoky Bay, just outside of Ceduna, a 500 square metre vacant block of land, admittedly right on that remarkable beach there, is $300,000. You think $300,000? It's an 8-hour drive from Adelaide. It's hardly a convenient weekender. 10 years ago, that would have been probably 80 grand.
Well, what about 20 years ago? We're talking about Ben Jordan sent through the costs of a place like Plimpton, 160 odd grand.
Yeah. We got any listeners in Smoky Bay?
Yeah, let us know.
Oysters.
David wants to buy a house. You're looking to move? Call in.
I'll tell you what, mate, I'm hard enough getting to work on time living in Wayville, let alone Smoky Bay.
I think you might have to phone in.
Yeah.
All right, time for breaking it up.
Well, without a doubt, it's the biggest story in Australian politics right now, and the biggest part of that story in South Australia is, as we reported yesterday morning, Port Augusta. In what ended up being a little bit of a surprise move, given some of the murmurs coming out of the National Party federally, but Port Augusta has been earmarked by Peter Dutton as one of the 7 sites for a nuclear reactor. Peter Dutton has said that the next election will be a referendum on nuclear power. Senator Birmingham is the most senior Liberal senator here in South Australia. He leads the opposition in the Senate, and we have him on the line now for Breaking at 8. Senator, good morning, and thanks for joining us. What's your take on... I reckon it's fair to say that the economics of this plan, the response to the vagueness of the costings and how it's all going to stack up financially has been overwhelmingly negative.
Well, Pembo, I think what we have outlined in what Peter has released is a clear vision for how Australia, looking into the future, can achieve net zero by 2050, but do so with an energy market that is reliable, that underpins the continued existence of industry and manufacturing in Australia and supports jobs, that gives people a certain baseload power that will be generated into the future. And we've been very clear that we are releasing the different policy elements in stages so that Australians can understand precisely what it is that is being proposed for the future. And yesterday was about releasing the limited number of sites and making clear that in lifting the moratorium, the ban on nuclear energy that exists in Australia, it's not about to then be open slather, but that we've given careful consideration to the sites, because a key part of the economics is using the existing transmission infrastructure. We've, of course, limited it to sites that historically have played a big role in providing significant baseload power into the grid.
Senator, the impetus for a nuclear future, then, is it about energy security, or is it about lowering power bills? Because that seems to be what's confusing people.
Well, people know their power bills are going up at present. They were promised under Labor's
they know that.
But
is anyone in the opposition saying that this will actually lower power bills?
This won't be the only aspect of the energy policies that we take to the next election.
Okay, so if it's not going to lower power bills, it must be then about making sure we've just got power to keep things going for the future.
But it's importantly about ensuring we have as low and reliable, so as low cost and reliable energy in the long term as possible. But of course, in the near term, we will have other policies that we take through to the next election as well. But if you look at some of the international comparisons in terms of energy prices, parts of Ontario in Canada, for example, pay significantly less in their energy. This is a part of Canada with nuclear generation as a significant part of its generation mix, and they're paying a lot less than in Australia. But of course, you can't do this sort of thing overnight, but we have to have, if we're serious about doing net zero, and serious about having affordable, reliable power, we've got to be willing to have the long-term conversations around Australia's future, not just pretend that it's all going to happen easily, quickly or overnight.
Senator Birmingham, one of the key obligations Australia now faces under the AUKUS deal is that by about 2040, from memory, we have to be ready and able and willing to house high-level nuclear waste, which will be produced as a byproduct of these nuclear-fuelled submarines. As a senator for South Australia, do you think that SA should put itself forward as a potential venue for a waste disposal dump? And is that something that you're prepared to pursue?
The short answer there is we should be prepared, as long as the geology all stacks up. And of course, previous research has demonstrated, and indeed a Royal Commission conducted by a Labor government in this state demonstrated that the geology did stack up for South Australia to play a role in terms of nuclear storage. Now, these next generation nuclear facilities, particularly the small modular reactors, produce very, very small amounts of waste. They are much more efficient than previous ones in the past. But I think one of the most reckless things the current federal Labor government has done was to simply walk away, abandon and give up on the low and medium level storage facility at Kimber. That when the federal court handed down its decision there, this government didn't appeal it. They didn't seek to legislate to remedy the issues that had been identified. They just gave up and took us back years or potentially decades on the way they handled these things.
You could say the same. You could say the same thing about the state Liberals here doing that with the Royal Commission because they didn't want to lose the seat of Adelaide.
Well, they were debates at another time around the Royal Commission. We had got to the point where, in terms of low-level storage, after decades of the country faffing around, we actually had a site. It had gone through the development phases. It had gone through community polling and got support from the community. It had been legislated, and then one errant court decision on a particularity of the process, and the government just walked away from it. That's not going to help us, be it in terms of handling that low-level waste, or what we have to commit to under AUKUS, or, of course, if this policy, if we are elected at the next election and Australians give a mandate to developing next-generation zero-emissions nuclear technology for the future in this country, then we will have to confront all of those issues sensibly and properly, as we should be able to as a nation.
Senator, do you think now would be then a reasonable time to coupled with this debate about nuclear storage and nuclear power generation, to talk about relaxing some of the onerous restrictions on uranium exploration and mining in Australia?
I think we should be playing as big a role as we can in terms of uranium and mining industry, not just for domestic consumption in Australia, but of course for the increasing role that nuclear energy is playing in many countries around the world. If Australia doesn't go down this path, then we will be the only one, and we currently are the only one of the G20 nations, the biggest economies in the world, who are not either using nuclear power or have plans to develop nuclear power in our economy. And they're all doing it because it is zero emissions, because it can get them towards the net zero pathway that the world is committed to, and because it does make economic sense in terms of providing reliable baseload power for industry and consumers to use in the years ahead.
Senator Simon Birmingham, the opposition leader in the Senate, thanks very much for joining us this morning for Breaking at 8.
Thanks, guys. My pleasure.
Think about it, we've had a lot of elections in this country that have basically been with Jerry Seinfeld in town. It's an apt term, a show about nothing. You know, Medi-scare campaigns or reheating work choices scare campaigns and what have you. The Libs making up all sorts of nonsense about Labor coming after you with death duties and crap like that. It's actually good to have something substantial where there's a real idea. And look, I want to quote Terry again, because I totally agree with this subsequent message. He's a recidivist texter. He's the Shane Warne of the text line, Terry. He says, let's do a proper feasibility study independently and rigorously carried out. Then let's have an energy debate based on the facts. Then have the media just present the facts so that people can make up their own minds based on the correct information. Good luck with that, though. I guess the thing is, who are the experts who's independent to do it? Because the independence of it is sometimes people have got a dog in the fight. But it's a good point, Terry makes.
Completely. 20 minutes after 8, let's check traffic. We're going to talk house prices next. Thanks to Louver House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. At Clemzig, urgent sewer works on OG Road near 4th Avenue. Small Bingle at Parafield to look out for. Kings Road near Main North Road. Still got a few delays there, but no great dramas. Works at Largs Bay continuing. Military Road near Kalgoorlie Road and getting busy. Anzac Highway at Ashford heading into the city. Cameras, Cleveland Road, Campbelltown and Shakespeare Avenue at McGill. Is there an amazing Aussie who inspires you or deserves national recognition? Go to australianoftheyear.org.au and nominate them before July 31. Adelaide's most accurate traffic guide, 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Stephen Rowe and Tim Jennifer.
The Crows board met today. The heat obviously on the leaders, but Chris McDermott was asked about it. Have a listen to what he had to say.
Matthew Nicks is a superstar, but it can't be left to one man. He used to say it used to be four. He used to need chairman, CEO, coach, captain.
Yeah, it represents a lot of people.
The 5AA Sports Show.
Members they're after a bit of change.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Doing your bit for our planet is easy. Drink Flurio milk, now available in a glass bottle. No plastic, no waste. Flurio Milk Company is proud to bring back milk in a glass bottle. It's easy. Look for milk refill stations in your supermarket, purchase your own glass bottle, fill it with amazing Flurio milk, take it home, drink it, wash it and bring it back to use again. No plastic, no waste. Visit fluoriomilkco.com.au for locations.
I'll grab a few people I know. We'll mark out some places to go. There's no invitation, just a destination, and that's the best freedom I know. Jump in the Jayco. Jump in the Jayco. Yeah, that's the best freedom I know.
Now, here we go. Well, it must feel great starting your day fitted out by Peter Shearer. You're
nice.
looking confident. You must be feeling confident.
Absolutely. It's nice just to throw off the rags.
Oh, for sure.
Just I get in.
Put the glad rags on.
Slip into the Peter Shearer suit. Brilliant way to start the day.
What's the old saying? Look out for the man.
Look out for the man. The value and quality of Peter Shearer is outstanding as well, which is obviously part of the equation. We've been speaking about it all morning, cost of living. You can pick up pure wool suits for only $349. That's down from $550. Down. You hear that, Michelle Bullock? Down.
That's right. Pay attention next time you're getting the RBA together. Now's the best time to check out Peter Shearer's new collection for total confidence this winter.
Peter Shearer has some of the best quality menswear brands in town, and right now, Confidence is on sale with up to 50% off a huge range of select menswear brands, plus 2 business shirts for just $120. It is incredible value.
So if you look like Will, who quite frankly has got it all going on, Peter Shearer is the place to go. It's also your go-to for suit alterations. They really do it all. Upgrade your winter wardrobe now. Head to your nearest Peter Shearer and be fitted with confidence.
Gone are the days of bulky solar panels. NRG Solar is ushering in a new era of sleek, efficient solar technology. With just a few panels, harness the power of the sun like never before. The equation is simple. More efficiency, more savings. Join the revolution with NRG Solar. Discover simplicity at 1275 South Road St Mary's or online at nrgsolar.com.au. NRG Solar, for a brighter, more sustainable tomorrow.
Tucker Carlson has interviewed Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Argentinian President Javier Milei and Robert Kennedy Jr. Come and see Tucker Carlson this Sunday. Go to Ticketek now and secure your tickets today.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes after 8. This next news item is going to hit differently depending on whether you own your own home or not, I suspect. Is Adelaide set to join the list of million-dollar cities? Some data that's been provided by the people at Domain. Dr. Nicola Powell's the Chief of Research and Economics for Domain. Dr. Powell, good morning to you. When do you guys expect that Adelaide will become a city with the average house price of $1 million?
Yeah, so that is by the end of next calendar year. We are anticipating it to reach $1 million. We've only just seen it break 900,000 currently, but what we're expecting is prices across Adelaide to continue to rise, and it does mean that, Adelaide is on track to be a $1 million housing market. And look, we've got many other $1 million housing cities across Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra. We're anticipating Brisbane to join that by the end of next financial year. And then by the end of 2025, that calendar year, Adelaide is also likely to be there.
Dr. Powell, why do you think the rate of house growth is going to keep up in a place like Adelaide? Because it had been explained to me that perhaps a reason in an environment with increased interest rates we'd seen house prices continue to rise is because people were holding on to them. They were holding on to stock, there was less around, and so there was a greater competition. Can that phenomenon sustain house prices and the continual growth, or does something have to give at some point?
Look, I think something does have to give, and I think what we're forecasting over the next financial year is growth, but slower growth compared to what we had been seeing. So I think that's really showcasing the affordability barriers that buyers are finding themselves under, because Adelaide has seen such a significant change. It's always been seen as one of those cities that is much more affordable, and I think since the pandemic we've just continued to see prices rise across Adelaide. We really didn't see a pullback in price, and it's really been the strongest upswing that collectively we've seen for Adelaide. And it almost appears like it's non-stoppable, but the stat that really places it into context is really everything that you just said around the supply or undersupply of housing has really been at the focal point. And when you look at overall supply, even currently today, it's 30% behind the 5-year average for this time of year. And that stat's just for Adelaide. Other cities aren't in that scenario. So Melbourne's 18% above the 5-year average. So when you do that comparison, it really showcases the undersupplied housing market that Adelaide overall has.
Do you think, Dr. Powell, that part of the reason it surged so much in Adelaide is that we were talking about, it's barely 20 years ago, the average price in Glandor was 140 grand or something. Now it's $1 million. Is it because we were coming off such a low base that we've sort of gone from 0 to 100 overnight here?
Look, there's an element of that, and Adelaide's been one of those cities that's always been a bit of a quiet achiever, and Canberra was similar, but during the pandemic, that's not what we saw. We saw them lead in terms of rates of growth. What we tend to find historically for price growth in Adelaide is it's slow and steady. It really doesn't see periods of a pullback in price, it just sees periods where prices go sideways. And that, historical performance wasn't the case. It hasn't been the case over recent years. I think it is a variety of different things going on. We've got to remember as well the rental market is extraordinarily tight. It's one of the tightest rental markets in Australia. And I think compositional changes of our homes is also putting greater demand in the housing market. So we've seen a rise in single-person households and a general decrease in household size. That means that does amplify housing demand. We need more homes to house the same amount of Australians.
That's an interesting point that doesn't often get discussed. Dr. Powell, fascinating research. We appreciate your insights into the conversation. Dr. Nicola Powell, the Chief of Research and Economics at Domain.
We were talking earlier, I mentioned a block of land on sale at the moment in Smoky Bay, just down the road from Ceduna for 300 grand. Rob says I've been to Smoky Bay, fantastic spot where on most blocks the sheds are bigger than the houses for all the boats and such. And taking in the regional growth in property values, Carol in the Barossa says, good morning guys, a house in Tanunda sold for over $3 million and one in Newry is expected to get $1.3 million.
Wow. That is extraordinary. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, well, they're all three of those places are sensational. You'd live there in a
You've got to pay for it now, don't you?
Geez, it's so much money, isn't it?
All right, 5AA News is coming up. We're going to flash back in time with Michael Smith shortly. And speaking of going back in time, what's happened to Stonehenge? It's been attacked by protesters. That's next.
It all started with a pen and paper 35 years ago. Lots of ideas and a ton of innovation. Nothing's changed. Beechwood Homes is still building stunning bespoke homes right across South Australia. Under construction right now is another Beechwood Homes masterpiece at Blackwood Park. This new display home will showcase Beechwood's dedication to cutting-edge design, craftsmanship and innovation. If you can dream it, Beechwood Homes can build it. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
It's amazing how many great Australian success stories started in a back shed. So it's fitting that that's exactly the same place where the Olympic Industries story began.
From humble family beginnings in an old rundown shed to one of the largest home improvement companies in SA, Olympic Industries is having its largest end of financial year sale ever with huge savings on the entire range.
Great things happen in sheds, and even greater things can happen in an Olympic Industries shed. So don't miss your opportunity to make your mark during Olympic Industries' biggest ever end of financial year sale. It is on now.
Visit one of their 4 display centres at Para Hills, Paraka, Clarence Gardens or Old Ranella, or check out the range at olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Showers today and 15 degrees with the 8:30 news. I'm Graham Goodings.
Physio Extra for Locomat robotic technology treating stroke, cerebral palsy, brain and spinal cord injuries. Visit physioextra.com.
The federal opposition is stepping up its campaign for nuclear power stations across the nation. South Australian Senator Simon Birmingham has told David and Will, if we don't go nuclear, we'll be out of step with the biggest economies in the world.
If Australia doesn't go down this path, then we will be the only one, and we currently are the only one, of the G20 nations, the biggest economies in the world, who are not either using nuclear power or have plans to develop nuclear power in our economy. And they're all doing it because it is zero emissions.
Meantime, South Australia is presenting its green energy credentials on the world stage at a forum in Adelaide today. Leaders of the world's biggest mining, steel and energy companies are here for a major forum of companies interested in investing in South Australia's green iron and steel future. The state government will unveil its green iron and steel strategy, focusing on a new hydrogen-based iron plant in SA by 2030 or earlier. A car hit a tree at West Croydon overnight before the 2 occupants did a runner. But Senior Constable David Backer says they were undone by smartphone technology.
We received an automated Telstra message that a crash had occurred on Croydon Avenue at West Croydon. When police arrived at the scene, they found crash damage to a tree and some skid marks, but there was no car. So they've done a search of the nearby area and they've located a Holden Commodore on nearby Day Terrace with crash damage. So police dog Chaos was called in and he's followed a track from the car to a nearby home, locating 2 men behind a fence.
The 18-year-old driver in the car blew over the limit and is facing a range of charges. His 23-year-old passenger was reported for providing false information. Aldi is the cheapest supermarket for Australian shoppers. Monitoring from Consumer Group Choice shows the average basket at Aldi costs $52. Coles and Woolworths are $17 more expensive, with just a 1% difference between the two. Green Senator Nick McKim says it's concerning prices are so similar at the 2 major supermarkets.
I have no doubt the reason that Coles and Woolworths prices are effectively the same is because they cross-check prices with the other supermarket giant. What that shows is that Coles and Woolworths might have separate brands, but they're effectively one great big supermarket corporation.
A servo was robbed at Seaview Downs last night. A man with a knife threatened a staff member at the Seacombe Road servo before stealing cash and cigarettes. He fled on foot towards Davenport Terrace. And Jerry Seinfeld will be in town tonight, performing at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Several shows interstate have been disrupted by pro-Palestinian protesters. Adelaide venue management says it's liaising closely with the promoter to ensure a comprehensive level of security is provided. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Free rego, stamp duty and CTP insurance on selected models at Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year event.
And now here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Graham. Port Adelaide's Charlie Dixon won't be available for selection until round 18 in the AFL. Last night, his 3-match ban for a bump on West Adelaide's Jordan White was upheld at the Sandford Tribunal. To cricket, South Africa has defeated the USA by 18 runs in the first match of the Super 8 stage at the T20 World Cup. Australia is back in action tomorrow against Bangladesh. Former Test captain Mark Taylor has told Wide World of Sports the Aussies will need to be on their game.
They'll be dangerous. They've got players, and you only really need one or two players to play well on a given day, and all of a sudden you can lose a game of T20. So every game is absolutely important. You have to front up every day.
A good night for Australia's tennis players, with Jordan Thompson and Rinky Hijikata both moving into the quarterfinals of the Queen's Club tournament in London, while Ayla Tomljanovic is also into the quarterfinals of an event in Birmingham. To the Euros, 3 games overnight. Scotland and Switzerland played out a 1-1 draw. Croatia and Albania also shared the points with a 2-2 draw, while Germany was too good for Hungary, winning 2-0. To ice hockey, and the Edmonton Oilers have forced a Game 6 in the best-of-7 Stanley Cup Series against the Florida Panthers after a thrilling 5-3 win in Game 5. Trailing 4-3, the Panthers threw everyone forward, including the goalie, meaning they were exposed at the other end.
Toward the empty net, this one's on target, and it's swept away by Kachuk at the last moment, but McDavid scores!
Game 6 will be played Saturday morning our time. And in some golf to finish, the PGA Tour has created a special exemption just for Tiger Woods for the Tour's 8 signature events. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Speak to the Adelaide Convention Centre and let them elevate your vision for your next event or function.
G'day there at Clemzig. Urgent sewer works on OG Road near 4th Avenue. Got a small bingo to look out for today at Parafield, Kings Road near Main North Road. Works continuing at Tea Tree Gully, North East Road near Walters Street. And we've got works at Cravers Wets, which are also slow. The tunnels near Mount Barker Road, speeds at 40. Cameras 5S Drive, Pasadena and Langman Grove at Felixstowe. GWM's end of financial year with more sale is on. Get up to $4,000 off selected models. Stocks are limited. GWM. Go with more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now the 5AA forecast.
Next time you hit the brakes, think about the last time you had them checked. Call 1300 Automasters now.
15 with showers today. Tomorrow partly cloudy 16. Saturday 15 and partly cloudy. Sunday partly cloudy 16. Right now in town it's 10. More news as it happens on 5AA.
2 grand prize homes, 2 grand prize winners. The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery's 2 grand prizes in Henley Beach are life-changing. 2 fully furnished, mortgage-free Scott Salisbury homes, and both include $100,000. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. That means you can have your cake and eat it too. 2 grand prize homes, 2 grand prize winners, and it's never too early to buy tickets. Homelottery.com.au. Licence M14548.
Here's 2 reasons to rush into Formula Honda. 1. Enjoy reduced drive-away prices on select grades for the Honda ZR-V and CR-V only while stocks last. 2. Get a bonus 8 years warranty and 8 years roadside assist on select grades until the end of this financial year. Hurry into Formula Honda while stocks and savings last. Find us at Glen Osmond Road, Glen Osmond, or North East Road, Modbury. T's and C's apply.
The critical part of any healthcare is the care. It's about being by your side when you and your loved ones need us most. Through late night fevers, through the rough and tumble of weekend sports, through weird rashes, mystery aches, and knowing in your heart that something's not quite right. From surgery to rehabilitation, through emergencies, mental illness, chronic diseases, and for better health. Your doctor cares. Let's take care of them too. Authorised by Dr. David Pope, Sasmoa, Adelaide.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
22 to 9. Stonehenge wasn't desecrated, maybe just diminished when Spinal Tap played in front of
Don't talk over Spinal Tap, Will.
A much smaller scale of the Stonehenge monument in England. However, it was desecrated overnight by Just Stop Oil protesters.
These gigantic monoliths were in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
It's all about the scale. This time they were covered in orange powdered paint. 2 Just Stop Oil campaigners sprayed it all over the historic site. It came before and to coincide with celebrations for the summer solstice. It's pretty dramatic to watch. They have subsequently said that the powder will just wash away with rain. I would hope so. Have a listen to one of them. This is Neve Lynch.
What's her name?
Neve Lynch.
Neve
was... In fact, a lot of info about Neve's been dug up subsequent to you. It tends to happen when you go and desecrate one of the wonders of the world. Neve received an £18,000 a year education in high school and then went on to study at the University of Oxford. So down and out Neve had this to say about Stonehenge and the state of the economy.
My name's Neve, I'm 21 and I'm a student at the University of Oxford. Today I'm taking action with Just Stop Oil to demand that the UK government commits to signing the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty and promises to stop burning fossil fuels by 2030. To refuse to do so is to warrant death, destruction and suffering on an absolutely immense and immeasurable scale. Today we'll be taking action at Stonehenge the day before the solstice. For thousands of years people have come to Stonehenge on the solstice to celebrate our natural world, to celebrate the beauty of our natural world. But I can't help thinking, what does it look like today and what the heck have we done to it? These stones have stood here for 5,000 years. What will the world look like in 5,000 years' time? What will our legacy be? It's becoming ever more clear that we end the fossil fuel era or the fossil fuel era ends us.
How perverse is the logic of these people to say, you know what, we're going to make a point about the natural world being destroyed by going to a place that we acknowledge people have gone to for 5,000 years to celebrate the natural world. These peanuts are about 6 months away from going to a green energy protest and covering everyone there in paint. Like, the logic...
What's poor old Stonehenge done to deserve?
Nothing existed.
Yeah. Isn't it? I mean, imagine if someone did that to Uluru or something like that. That'd be a moral quandary, wouldn't it? But you do the roll call now of things that have been attacked in the name of the planet. The Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Recently, the new portrait, that really interesting portrait of King Charles.
Yeah.
How is the term, the old, thinking back to my brief Trotskyist days, the old term we used to use hanging around at the old resistance centre there off Hindley Street was consciousness raising. You know, the idea, there's a Marxian view that false consciousness, that people refuse to get involved in politics or have reactionary or conservative views just because they haven't been made aware of the nature of the problem. How does the chucking of paint on objects of great antiquity or great creativity that have absolutely nothing to do with the environment achieve the Marxist goal of consciousness raising? I'd suggest that, you know, the gluing of the buttocks to the bitumen in Victoria Square, rather than being a consciousness raising exercise, is actually a consciousness hardening exercise where the mainstream chap trying to get to his job as an accountant in the old SGIC building by 8:30 that morning in his Toyota Camry is just sitting there going, get out of the way, you pain in the butt.
But it does make you a hero on social media, and at the end of the day, that's really the aim. So, well played, everyone.
Gives you something to talk about at the Wollonga markets on Saturday too.
Exactly.
I got nothing against Wollonga, by the way, but it seems to be overrepresented in the Extinction Rebellion stakes.
Oh, yeah, they love it. They poll well there.
I'll tell you what, Peter Dutton, don't go trying to put a nuclear reactor at Wollonga.
Yeah, it's funny.
Wouldn't go down very well.
Zero emissions. David South Brighton's on the line. Morning to you, Dave.
Morning, guys. Yeah, this is regarding the nuclear debate. One, I have no expertise on nuclear power or the costings of it, so I won't get involved because I'll let the experts fight that out. But I have a concern regarding the nuclear dump. Now, I know that it's stable and it's a safe place to leave it and all the science is done, but my concern is if we're saying to other countries, hey guys, we'll take your rubbish, you've got to pay us for it. So for example, we take South Korea's nuclear waste dump, right? And then in 10 years' time, they say, hey, mate, we're not paying any more, all right? So then that sounded a bit Mexican, that, didn't it? But then, how do we get the money? We're going to say to them, mate, you've got to pay or we'll take it back. We're saying you're not bringing that crap back here. It's unsustainable.
Well, I don't know if the model necessarily would be on a rental basis.
Well, are they going to pay for it for 100 or 1,000 years in advance? I doubt it.
Yeah, but I just think that's a fault with the business model, isn't it? I mean, you just make people pay up front.
Well, that's right. And if they do, fine. But it's just, to me, that's never been explained.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
It's like Howard Storage on steroids, isn't it?
Tony Mount Barker, good morning.
Oh, good morning, guys. Firstly, a quick comment on our delightful people that did the damage at Stonehenge. Do they actually realise what would happen to civilization if we stopped fossil fuels? It would just collapse. Anyway, that's that.
I think they're cheering for that.
Yeah. The issue of renewables. One thing, could you please find one of these renewable zealots and ask them a question? I'd like to know how it's all going to work. The majority of people, the majority of households use their power in the evening to cooking and heating and all the rest of it. During the day, they're at work, and and solar could look out to that. But in the evening, there's no solar, so we have to rely on wind. We know that wind is unreliable. So how are they going to fix that gap without having something like nuclear?
But isn't the gap at the moment, Tony? People would argue the gap at the moment is a Tesla battery. Because if you've got battery storage at home, you can generate power during the day and use it at night. The only issue is a Tesla battery costs $12,000.
Yeah. Exactly. Does that mean that everybody's got to have a battery in their house?
And most people can't afford it.
Exactly. I can't afford it.
No.
So therefore, we're going to have a big battery that's going to power the whole country when the wind stops blowing? How's it going to work?
Well, that's why Jay's mate Elon was trying to build one for us.
We do have the big battery here, don't we?
Not big enough, though.
It's not. Yeah, it's not doing baseload power generation.
Nah. But good points, Tony.
But yeah. Daryl in Virginia, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I don't know if these guys realise that Teslas are made of plastic and plastic's made of petroleum, for a start. Secondly, I've got solar. My buyback has gone down to 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, if I want to use power, it's 49 cents. The daily fee is $1, so I've got to generate 12 kilowatt hours of power just to pay my daily supply charge. It just does my head in. They're after all these renewables. So
I reckon that is a hugely important point, Daryl, and the government should actually hold a proper inquiry into what's going on with that, because it's a total rort.
Well, instead of putting the heater on, I'd light my fire.
Yeah.
That's environmentally friendly.
That's right. Chuck a few car tyres in there while you're at it.
It is completely outrageous. Daryl's absolutely spot on. It's
just
ludicrous.
to round it out, one of our listeners, Grant, texted in saying the biggest issue with Dutton's plan is having to listen to people say nuclear.
Oh, yeah.
Nuclear. Who was the first person to say nuclear? It was George W. Bush, wasn't it?
No, he wasn't the first. I think it's been around since there's been nuclear power. I think
nuclear.
Lino, good morning.
Nuclear.
Good morning. Good morning. Isn't it nice? Everybody's having these debates.
That's good.
For start, in Australia for nuclear, Mr. Dutton needs to find out where he's going to get the water to cool them down, because most of the areas don't have enough water. And in Australia, water is liquid gold. Now, I have solar panels with the old contracts from the government, which are supposed to be till 2028 at 44 cents exporting. In other words, I paid $12,000 for 4.5 kilowatts, where now you can get for $3,500 6.5 kilowatts of power. Now, they started off with, I was paying for service line, for argument's sake, $35 every 90 days. That's gone up to $120 every 90 days. If I was buying power before, it was 31 cents. It's gone up to 43 cents. But they've been decreasing my export from 62 cents right down to 45 cents, 45.793 cents, which they're only giving me 1.7 cents per kilowatt.
It's crazy.
See, the thing too, because I got one of these emails the other day from AGL explaining the new pricing. Explaining, I use the word facetiously and incorrectly there. If you sent Stephen Hawking's one of those AGL explanations as to how the new bill was going to work, old Stephen would say, "Nah, sorry mate, I'm out. I can't understand. I can't make head nor tail out of this." Well, he wouldn't say it, he'd tap it out. But it's utterly impenetrable.
Jay breaks it down very simply on the Dutton's text line. He says it's a joke. Power companies buy house solar for as low as 4 cents, and then it gets sold back to us at 45 cents.
Yeah.
An 11-fold markup.
If Dutton wants to get smart, he should get into this.
Completely.
Because people have tried to do the right thing by getting solar and getting batteries. They go, hang on a minute, I've done my bit. And now these bloody power companies are taking all the money anyway. We're doing the heavy lifting by putting in the panels and getting the battery for the storage, and now they're just fleecing all of the power that we've generated. Justice for people with solar panels.
Exactly right. Lino, you're off to the Glenelg Winter Arts Festival, mate. We're going to send you along for calling in. Shows, eats, drinks and festival of fun at the Bay, 5th to the 21st of July there in Collie Reserve, glenelgwinterfestival.com. Check it out. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and you might even bump into Lino there. You can talk solar panels with him. Jerry Seinfeld's about to land at Adelaide, we're being told. Reliably informed. Andrew on the Dutton's text line says he's going to land in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Makes sense. Show tonight. Does he get protested tonight in Adelaide?
I really hope not.
Me too.
The one of the best Seinfeld's episode involved air travel. Remember when George went to his girlfriend's father's funeral, but he didn't want to pay the full fare. He wanted to pay the bereavement fare, and at the memorial service afterwards, he said he was making a tribute book and he wanted a photocopy of the death certificate because he needed to give it to the airline. That was such a good episode.
All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to Luba House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Morning there at Clemsig. Urgent civil works on OG Road near 4th Avenue. Busy at the moment at Tea Tree Gully, North East Road near Walters Street. Sluggish at Largs Bay, Military Road near Kalgoorlie Road, and bumpy and slow South Road at Glandore with speed plates in use there, and we're down to 40 k's. Camera's Goodwood Road, Kinnerlight Gardens and Grand Junction Road at Hope Valley. Drive away in a new MG this end of financial year. Get the MG ZST with sporty alloy wheels, a 10.1-inch screen and more from just $25,490. Drive away. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA mornings today, the nuclear debate underway. Where to next for South Australia? And we'll look at the grocery basket. Choice has done a survey on where to get the cheapest groceries you can find. We'll tell you about those stories, lots more as well. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Look forward to your company from 9.
Trumpets, please. The trumpets are sounding the final call for the Edwardstown Mazda end of financial year sale. Get our lowest ever drive-away offers, huge Mazda factory bonuses, plus an extra $2,000 trade-in bonus. And $1,000 in Edwardstown Mazda credit to spend however you'd like. The finale is fast approaching. Hurry, sale ends June 30.
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA.
Here's some great news from Darren and Chris at ACET Transport Solutions. They've just added crane trucks on their fleet. These rigid trucks have their own crane for safe loading and unloading, perfect for the big stuff. With over 20 years of experience and over 200 vehicles in their fleet, there's plenty of rigid crane trucks on deck ready for your next delivery. Whatever the load, ACET Transport Solutions will handle your delivery safely.
Don't just send it, ACET.
Don't just send it, ACET.
Now, if you could shop appliances at better prices than anywhere else, why wouldn't you? And if you could support a South Australian family-owned appliance store while you're doing it, why wouldn't you?
Now's the time to do it. It's E-Offie or end of financial year. I think you just say end of financial year, don't you?
Well, you can say E-Offie as well. E-Offie.
Can you?
You
I've
can.
not heard of
Well, we're gonna
E-Offie
keep
before.
saying it.
Apparently there's a pronunciation guide here.
Yeah, that's right.
The Spartan Appliances end of financial year sale is on now. You get store-wide savings on every brand. But have a listen to this. There's up to 10% off selected Miele appliances. Plus, you'll receive a huge 5-year warranty.
E-Offie. So pop in for an E-Offie coffee and save store-wide at Spartan Appliances, Campbelltown and Torrensville.
Oh!
Electricity bill!
Bills shouldn't be scary. EcoVantage have supplied energy efficiency in homes for over 15 years. They can install hot water systems that use up to 80% less electricity than regular hot water systems. Help the environment while you save hundreds. And thanks to federal and SA government incentives, you could get your energy efficient hot water system supplied and installed for as little as no cost to you. Stop scary hot water bills with ecovantage.com.au.
It's all go at Adelaide's newest family-owned Hyundai dealer, Wayville Hyundai. This end of financial year, choose 3 years free scheduled servicing or $2,000 off in-stock vehicles. Change the way you Hyundai at Wayville Hyundai. Driven by Australian Motors. T's and C's apply.
Purchase any Hyundai until June 30 for 3 years free scheduled servicing. T's and C's apply at participating Hyundai dealers.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
6 to 9, let's have a look at the fuel situation. Thanks to the great people at RAA. Members save on RAA Solar. We've been talking a bit about that. RAA Innovation Proprietary Limited, SA Building Licence number 319335. Cheap spots this morning are pretty good. The Ex-Convenience North East Road, Clemzig's at $1.63.5. The Ex-Convenience Grand Junction Road, Port Adelaide, $1.64.9. And the Liberty South Road, Clarence Gardens, $1.67.5. Diesel, still under $1.80. The best we saw was the Ex-Convenience May North Road, Jeps Cross at $1.77.5.
It's time to Flashback
with Michael Smith.
Flashback, 7 News, 6 o'clock on Sunday night. Morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Will and David. On Flashback this week, we are celebrating a milestone for one of our great footy anthems. It's not the Crows or Power Club song. It's not even Never Tear Us Apart. It's 30 years ago since a boy from Hectorville penned a song that I reckon we all know the lyrics to, because for about 10 years, it was the theme of the Seven footy coverage. Of course, I'm talking about Mad Norwood and Crows fan Greg Champion, who back in 1994 penned That's the Thing About Football. But I was really curious to learn about its origins. It turns out that he was encouraged to write it when he bumped into Mike Brady of Up There Kazali fame at an advertising industry lunch. In fact, Mike Brady played a big role in producing That's the Thing About Football. But what I didn't realise was that another great South Australian singer-songwriter was involved in it as well, in Paul Kelly. Story goes that the night before they were about to record That's the Thing About Football, Greg Champion was having trouble finalising the lyrics. So he sent a fax, it was the 90s, a fax to Paul Kelly. I'll let Greg pick up the story from there.
And I faxed him late in the evening and said, we're recording this song in the morning and I don't have all my lyrics. To my great surprise, when I got up in the morning, on the fax machine were 12 lines, 3 verses from Paul Kelly. I took one line and built a verse around that line. I'll meet a friend outside the ground.
I'll meet a friend outside the ground. We'll argue over who's gonna win.
And I told Paul, well before we knew it was going to be big, I said, Paul, you've got a cut of the action.
Well, that's the thing about, that's what I like about, yeah, that's the thing about football.
It's a great song, and you can imagine after 2 days in an edit booth, I've just got it looping in my head. Sorry if you do now. It actually had its first public debut. He sung it at the AFL Grand Final a couple of times, but it was sung in public at the Stanford Grand Final in 1994 when Woodville West Torrens played Port Adelaide.
The Scotty Hodges one.
Indeed. Port won, I think, by about 37 points.
What a game.
Still a mad Crows fan. He'd love to sing at a Crows Grand Final, but admits that might be a while off.
That's a great story. I'm looking forward to that.
I had no
watching
idea
that flashback
Paul
in
Kelly
full.
was
The Paul
involved.
Kelly influence.
Adelaide's own Paul
How's
Kelly.
Paul Kelly just gets a random bunch of lyrics off a fax machine and says, "Oh yeah, I'll add to that."
Kensington Road goes straight for a while before turning. All the great aunts are either insane or dead. I love that song, Adelaide. Even though a lot of people go, why is he being rude about Adelaide?
Paul Kelly's great.
He was talking about a sad time in his life.
Michael Smith, flashback.
On your
7 News, Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Matt Pantelis is coming up.
Just in relation to just your fuel watch, I was just wondering, how did Neve get to Stonehenge?
I think she went on a
Did she walk there?
dirigible.
Oh, the humanity.
Matt Pantelis is coming up. We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
For over 3 decades, Regent Homes has been synonymous with crafting architecturally bespoke homes, each one a testament to Regent Homes' unwavering commitment to design, quality